Hello, and welcome to Spotlight here on Grapple Patreon. I'm Benno.
And I'm Matty.
Say Grapple Patreon, but everywhere else, it's weird. It's a Sunday night special. It's the Sunday night SummerSlam Special. All the S's I'm saying here, Matty, as we are live with our live patrons and our YouTube members with us. But obviously, this is the replacement for Spotlight this week. We thought we'd try something a bit different and turn our Sunday nights on our head. How you doing, mate? It's all a bit weird.
It is a bit weird, Benno, but as you say, we're giving it a go, and I'm doing fine, mate. How about yourself?
Knackered, not as knackered as you. You stayed up for a pay-per-view, mate. Are you okay? Like, is your body recovered? Like, how many hours sleep you had? Half an hour? 20 minutes? What's the
I ended
what's
up,
the deal?
I was that buzzing at the end of this show. I didn't get a sleep till near 5 a.m. Steph was awake. I was like, he's back. I said, Roman's back. And she was like, she was half awake to be fair, but like,
she's like, who's Roman?
Yeah, well, she knows. She knows. And it's, but yeah, I didn't get a sleep till like 5 a.m. And then I woke up about 10 o'clock. And I just was buzzing still, trying to see whether, without jumping ahead, if Fatu's injured, what's going on with all the takes and such. So, yeah, about 5 hours, mate. So my eyes are a bit heavy, but I'm buzzing, mate. I'm still fucking on high.
Normal night for me. So you tried to still get up the normal time. I was up about like 3-4 p.m. So that's possibly the normal time for me as well. I was staying up for the presser as well. Do you know what I mean? I was keeping it going. So
fucking hell, Ben.
Normal Saturday night for me, you know. I was sad when it ended. I wanted more like I was moaning about Tony Khan and the length of his press. I would have took another hour of that, and then somebody might have asked a worthwhile question at some point as well. But yeah, we're trying something here. Obviously, yeah, no JP to get in the middle of us, as Chris Elliott has said there in the chat there. Andy Ryan saying, "I bet you were there dancing around the living room at 3 a.m. I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were as well, mate. But yeah, we're at the experiment, and if anyone's missing the usual pre-show and shenanigans and stuff, we're doing things the other way around this week. So normally on a Sunday night we'd record our bonus show. That's going to be midweek this week. As me, you, and Gareth go to record the very first on location episode of Grapple Lads or Grapple Ads, or they'll sort that nomenclature out.
Yeah,
they need to sort out the venue. Actually, we go into town. We go into Crosby to celebrate Gareth's birthday, aka record a podcast. Don't know if we've sorted that.
It's got to be town, hasn't it, Ben? It's got to be the city centre, hasn't it? Surely, but you know,
I was thinking Crosby, mate. I'm the one getting you up there. You know, want you to see the sights. See what's going on, you know.
Well, we'll see.
Fair, half of town's like a fucking bomb site right now after this horrible weekend and all those cunts that are out and about. I saw some of the remnants of that today in town, but yeah, I'm sure we can still find a good location.
Yeah, we need to sort that out, Ben. I say we'll have to put that in the chat tomorrow, with it being a couple of days away now. But really looking forward to as you say, the Grapple Lads, not Grapple Ads, Grapple Lads. It just flows.
Starting at a consultant company, no promise.
Oh, yeah, of course. And I'm looking forward to that, to see what the hell it ends up being and what we come out with, Benno. But yeah, that's to come here this week, of course.
Definitely, yeah. So get all that and all our normal stuff, patreon.com/grapple and youtube.com/grapple. Again, it's all a bit weird this. We haven't had the full intro or music or anything, so we're all kind of backwards. But yeah, as we talked about our weekend show, if you missed it, Grapple Lads debuting this week. We got mixtape best matches on British soil we're going to be doing this month as well. Carl Gack's Insane Clown Posse, King of the Mountain show, as well as all the normal.
I tell you what, Ben,
weekend shows.
That runtime is insane, mate. 3 days on the sales list. Fucking hell.
I saw that this weekend. Yeah, luckily we've got another week to get ready for that. But even me and you would taking it to the days when it comes to the deep cut run times. But we're professionals, Matty. I reckon you're going to be sat there listening to the Insane Clown Posse's entire back catalogue. I'm just going to throw on the only 4 songs I ever owned of them, because I downloaded them from Kazaa in 2002, and it was like it took me 3 days to download those 4 songs.
Homies,
that's pretty much my plan. What's that one? Homie? Oh yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, I had that. I can't remember the names of the others. I'm gonna have to dig them out, find out what ICP's top hits were from 2002. But yeah, I'm sure you're excited for that homework more than I am.
Oh, mate. Yeah, well, yeah. As I say, I seen that list, and I was messaging Carl, and he did say 3 days, and I thought he was taking the piss, just because ours go long, but no, it was genuinely over 3 days long. It's the actual sickos, but the much watch is just over 3 hours. I'm pretty sure, they're sticking to them rules, Benno, that I think me and you probably didn't stick to at first, but even we've got to go forward and stick to them rules going forward, mate. But it should be good. It should be a fun time going back and seeing what the lads are up to.
Definitely, and of course, all roads will lead to our live show, professional podcast, doing a professional podcast live on Saturday, the 24th of August. That's the big one of the month. So if you haven't got your tickets already, do get them. Love the graphic that Grapple Gareth has put together there.
And someone doctored.
Someone doctored it. Someone? It wasn't me. It was him. It wasn't even my idea.
You get blamed for everything, Benno. Come on, you know that. You know that.
Retro boys. Oh, I know that. I'm going to find that out today, mate. Whatever Dave Meltzer said on Observer Radio last night is going to be my fault. I'm looking forward to finding that out. But I didn't even do it. I think it's a wonderful graphic. And yeah, obviously, if that's not going to convince you to get your tickets, I don't know what will. But grapple.bigcartel.com to get your tickets in. And yeah, obviously today we'll hit some news at the end of the show as well, Matty, and we'll get into some of the other things that are going on in the wrestling world. But we are here for one big reason. Feels like a rainy weekend, this recording on a Sunday night right after it's happened. There's been a lot of discourse today. I think me and you are just going to get on today, Matty. I don't think there's going to be any arguing. I think we're going to be in step with every match here. Well, every angle, really.
I was going to say, did matches actually happen, or what is it? Is it just talking and like stuff happening for 4 hours? Okay,
yes, it was.
Okay. Yeah,
we'll get into that.
Fuck's sake.
But let's start with somewhere we can agree, Matty. What was the plan last night of action when you watched it? Did you have the snacks in? Did you have the food planned? I made the grave mistake of not eating all day because I was working overtime and I was getting ready, thinking, okay, I'm gonna get a pizza tonight. I had it in my head all day. Do you know the new one with the red chilies they have in Domino's? Big fan of it. Caved at 10 o'clock and ordered it, thinking, what I'll do is I'll have half now, and the rest of it, cold pizza's good, isn't it? I'll have it during the show. Yeah, by the time that pre-show was over, mate, that pizza was entirely gone, so it was just my remaining stacks for the rest of the night and a couple of decent beers, courtesy me mate Alan. But yeah, how did you get through the night? And the Discord helped me get through it as well.
No, I say in theory that's a good idea from you, but it's still half amateur, Benno, with that pizza, mate. The smell of it, I'm not surprised you give in. But yeah, I had my tea. Yes, Steph made a lovely tea, chicken thighs with Mediterranean veg. This might like a little pre-show, Ben. Go as what we had for Scran. Chicken thighs.
Disagreeing here. So I went takeaway and you went homemade. Oh no.
No, see, Benno,
this is the new Civil War.
No, I'm on the cut down. If it's homemade, that means I can have a few snacks. You know what I mean? If I would have got a takeaway, that eliminates me snacks. You know what I mean? So that's in my head anyway. That cancels that out. But I put chicken thighs, Mediterranean veg, bit of whole grain rice, and then I got myself. Went to the Egbert Road, the Heron Foods, always reliable. Big bag of.
Still going?
Yeah, Ben, you got to go in that first aisle, mate, and see what they've got on the crisp section and that, like big Monster Munch Giants they had. I got a beef pack.
You planned this out way better than I did.
Oh, mate, unbelievable. One of them only had the beef ones, and I got myself controversial. Tuck biscuits, right? What people like, but I like the one with the cheese filling in the middle. I like the little sandwich ones more than just the actual single tucks. I don't know if that's a controversial take, but I absolutely love that. So we had a pack of them as well. I had a bit of scotch for the occasion. Scotch and soda's my new drink of choice, Benno, when I'm just relaxing, enjoying myself. So yeah, I had a good little night, mate. All planned out.
Veg there, Platt mentions, you know.
Yeah. When it's necessary and when it's Mediterranean, I'm all for it.
They're the rules, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's how it works. I had some leftover, like, you know, like packet Maltesers, grab pack. I had some Doritos and stuff like that, so I still managed to make it a night of it. But there we go. No controversy there, Matty, as Ben says in the chat there. But we should get into it, Matty. The show itself, they were the snacks. That was the setup. 2-hour pre-show, which I kind of had half on the background in split screen with Collision, which had roughly about the same amount of people that were at SummerSlam. It was somewhere near the.
Okay, I seen that. That was one that I blanked last night.
The available tickets, maybe.
Yeah, of course. Fuck me.
You're gonna be loving that talking points I've been throwing out there. That last year All In was fighting for the biggest wrestling attendance of all time, and this year it's not going to be the biggest wrestling attendance in August. There's one for free for you, mate. You can have that one. Nice one. That inevitably happens. But yeah, we have Mids announcing that later on in the show. But yeah, unless you've got any notes on the pre-show or Collision, we should get into the main show, introduced by JELLYROLL.
I mean, can we start with JELLYROLL? I've never heard a song.
I don't know, we're going to start with Triple H, haven't we?
Get his face
himself and make himself part of it as well. And the Miz too. It was a layered start to use your words, Matty. But yeah, what's your knowledge base of JELLYROLL going into this?
No, well, Liam will have to correct me in the chat here. Isn't he, obviously, I've never heard a song by him. I was aware of him. Isn't he dating Oh, it's one of the. I'm sure she's like a tattoo model or a tattoo artist. I'm sure she is. I'm sure he's dating her. Liam, if you're in the chat, mate, please give me confirm or deny that one. But I was aware through that, and I'd never heard his music. But my mate Crewy was here, and he said that he Eminem sampled one of the songs, and he ended up doing a live thing with Eminem out of thing. So he's a big deal, isn't he?
Jam sandwich, Simon's referring to him there. I honestly thought he was all right as far as like live performers go in WWE. Second song maybe better than the first one. It was just funny. It was just funny having what was the words from Triple. It was like that video where it's like, ladies and gentlemen, The Weeknd. It felt like that Triple H.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, JELLYROLL, and he's playing Daniel Craig in that scenario. It's like they're words that shouldn't be coming out of Tripp's mouth, but of course he had to get out there and enjoy the crowd pop. He's he's worse than Tony Khan for that stuff.
Oh, he can't avoid it, can he? Triple H, he absolutely loves getting his kipper in there at the start of these big shows, and any excuse you had to introduce JELLYROLL. But I agree with you, Ben. As I say, I'm all for angles and stories. Maybe not so many musical acts at these shows, but obviously throughout the years you'd expect this type of stuff, and it's just making it a bigger event, isn't it? Like it's WrestleMania 2, isn't it? Really these days, SummerSlam, they're trying to go for that, especially with 2 days coming up next year, Ben. So they're pushing hard to have these acts and such on. But yeah, he wasn't the worst, Ben. I actually quite enjoyed that Liar song, to be honest. By the end, the one that done me head in is like, remember them WrestleManias where you just hear that Flow Rider song, and I was a big Flow Rider fan. After every match, you just
and it was like 3 years after it had been like all over the radio, wasn't it? Like...
But the song that was getting played after every match, I was bored of by the end, and it was driving me insane. But that Liar one was a bit of a nice song, so yeah, he's a bit.
Poor Triple H being forced out there at gunpoint to take the credit, as Simon says. But I will say, like, the overall setup looked incredible. It did. It looked like All In. It did. It looked like All In last year. It was packed in there, apart from some empty seats at the top row. We'll leave Garrett to count those out, but genuinely impressive spectacle. I love those shows though. I love when it's bright light outside, and as the night goes on, you can feel it. Get quiet.
Love it when it's going dusky and then it goes that proper stuff. What
do you make of the crowd though all night? I think they were up and down.
Yeah, they were, and this is a thing, like, even throughout the matches, but they did pop in every match for the big stuff. You know what I mean? This is going to be a thing. They weren't, like, rabid, like we've been having with the international crowds, like your Leons and your Scotlands all night, but they did come alive during every match, Benno. That's not to be denied. Like, even in the Bailey Nia Jax stuff, like the powerbomb out the corner, which we'll go into, like, they come unglued for that. So during each match, they were well into the big stuff, like.
Yeah, it's one of them. I think it was the same at All In last year. Stadiums are gone. Noises going to evaporate. That's the negative, isn't it? That like you don't have that contained, roof on sound doesn't travel great, and large crowds like that can easily get distracted and start to amuse themselves. We'll get to the punk match later, but there could be those negatives to it as well, can't there? But all that looked incredible. I saw Steph was in the media section, and she was like posting, got like a free meal up there. Looked great sight lines.
Looked lovely.
Back. Compared to our stadium food. Yeah. Although to be fair, Wembley was pretty good last year. There were good options. Well organised, well ran. But it look like a good place to be. Good sight lines and everything like that. I'm probably spoiler going to be the more negative one on this show than Matty, if you can believe that. But as an overall positive, I love this. I love that they're doing these big stadium shows. I love that it is a positive that they can do like these big numbers on these big shows and can make them feel like the big occasion type shows. So yeah, that and like the production side of it. Wasn't so sure on the referee cam. That felt a bit out of early 90s WCW. I feel like we tried that one before, haven't we? And that had like mixed results through the show. But I thought they shot it really well as well, and it did feel like a big occasion.
But even the crowd, what you're saying, Ben, I agree. Obviously, with stadiums, it's very hard to get that contained noise, but you always judge it, don't you? Like that mini arena in the stadium, that first section around the ring. And if they're up for it, then it always looks better as well, you know what I mean? And they were mainly into everything, so it always had that for me. It was never like, I don't think it ever dragged either.
JP's got it there. Totally,
I mean,
hope Jamie's having a good time in Germany, by the way.
With that referee cam, I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? You know, obviously it come unstuck in the Drew Punk match where Seth just basically got rid of it, didn't he? He basically just dragged it out of his ear.
Gave up in the end, didn't he? That was clearly what it was built for. It was just for that match, wasn't it? As Eddie says here, yeah, he did it. Best a sort of great picture of. I always pop when I see a picture of young Eddie reffing in his early days. But yeah, the refs have got names again, as Platt said as well. So that's a good thing as well. We saw that on the Invasion show, you know, when they did refs versus refs. Remember when you knew who they all were? I think we're back to that world. But yeah, I thought from the production note that was good. Commentary, obviously, Michael Cole's, Cody Graves, and Pat McAfee will talk as throughout the show, because just as the later the show goes on, the more those edibles kick in, and the worse Pat McAfee got. But we can get into that as well. I said this on the Discord. I'm probably not even going to go in hard on the commentary. There's moments through the show where I think they did a poor job, but all in all, I just don't think any wrestling commentary is good. I think it's just the conversation is more what's the least bad wrestling commentary. Even when you like it, it's just because it's not quite as bad as everybody else. I think wrestling commentary throughout the industry could be better, but yeah, Pat McAfee had some corkers tonight. And speaking of which, our first match, Matty, and we'll run through in order. We'll give it the big build up through the night, as there is stories to be told as we
everywhere,
we go through the night. No better man than we missed JP tonight, him off in Germany, but no better man than you to justify some of this shite to me. Let's get into the first match, which was Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. We talked about it on the weekend show, didn't we? All the build up and the expectation. I think we were both nailed on Connor's pick'ems as to what was probably going to be outcome to this, which was the first of many Vince Russo-isms, as we got the big Dominic Mysterio turn in there as well. Don't know, what should we talk first, Matty? The turn or the match? Was there a match?
As I say, it was just a turn on it. It was just a 15-minute turn, so we're actually going to break these matches down because they didn't happen apparently. So that's what I've read.
You ain't good, so.
Yeah, but they still happened, didn't they? They were still matches. It doesn't have to be fucking poison ranas on aprons. It doesn't have to be hold each other's hands for 20 minutes and getting your fingers done for 20 minutes. They're still wrestling matches. Do you know what I mean? They're still matches, aren't they? So, you know.
Bad ones, yeah, we agree there.
Fair enough, whatever you
I didn't think this was up to much. This was the first of like a few matches through the night where we had if you're going to do it, and it did feel like watching AEW at points, because like, where was the agent on this show? Like, if we're going to build this match around Rhea Ripley's shoulder and do the daft shoulder dislocation spot, fair enough, you're going to do it in that match. Fair enough, it makes no medical sense whatsoever. But like, to repeat it in every other match pretty much throughout the night is like proper amateur hour stuff. But I get it as like the means to a story here, and it gave it a bit of hook before the again. And I think the reason why the conversation has been matches versus angles on this show is, like a lot of the matches on this show, you're kind of just waiting for that shoe to drop with Dominic Mysterio's involvement to come. It gave the match something of a story, at least, even if I didn't think it was executed the best.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I know this was probably the only one where they actually went in hard with the shoulder, really. But there was, can't deny, every fucking match except for the main event, was it? Where there was a shoulder into the fucking.
You predicted this on the weekend show. People called you Russo. I mean, maybe he's back there. Maybe he's got another call up.
But you know what?
Come back, not Stephanie.
And this is me. I'm going to stick up for WWE and maybe have a slight go at Russo here. So kind of conflicted, but at least he was built to this though. Benno, Russo stuff the build would be in the hour in the turn. Do you know what I mean? At least this, especially later on with Judgment Day with Finn Balor, that's 2 years, 3 years in the making. Do you know what I mean? So that's fair enough. And it was going to happen one day. With this, it's been really like since Rhea's been out, and this feud's been, this storyline's been for a couple of months now. So at least it's not just straight away and hot-shotting it. I'm not even, I hate mentioning his name already, like Meltzer with the predictable stuff he was saying. So what?
That you've completely misread and misinterpreted.
No, but he's saying, but you know the way he's saying it as a negative.
No, I don't. I'll listen to it. You haven't heard it. You haven't heard what he said. You're going off some text on page that he wasn't. He was putting the show over. Meltzer and Alvarez were extremely positive on the show. That's Twitter shite. You're falling into the trap of people posting screenshots. People could post a screenshot of one thing me and you say, and then go, "Oh my god, I can't believe he's trying to sell it." That is not the context of what he says. You're not having that one.
But I have listened to him enough over the years and I know his style. Then all that.
Yeah, he likes what he likes, but he put the show over despite that, which is what you
typical though. but typical at the same time, covering all
What's
bases
typical?
like he always does. Covering all bases, like, you know, we've listened to him for years.
Doing a good
You
job.
like him more. I just think he's full of shit sometimes, most of the time. Anyway, but anyway, we'll digress.
No,
Let's get back on track and talk about
what's your issue with what he said? Like, can you explain what the issue is?
Yeah, because he's saying, like, you know, we need to get the text up or in the Discord. I read it saying the way he's coming in, he's saying it predictable, which usually means it's good. So why is he going in already saying if you're watching it for the angles? Why has he got to come in like that? So he's putting the wrestling down,
like anything.
He's putting the wrestling down.
Someone's taken 30 seconds of what he said and presented it as news. He was having a fully formed conversation like we're having. Meltzer's point was that he overall enjoyed the show. That overall it was a very angle-heavy show, which it was. What's the disagreement? What do we disagree on?
Because you know he always does that. Whenever there's a news story, say like someone's coming into someone's injured, like Jacob Fatu, I guarantee you tomorrow he'll cover every base and he won't put it on out there when he should be the one getting all this information and telling us.
You're not making any points here. You're not making any points.
He does.
As Simon is rightly saying here, he wasn't saying predictable is bad. His point was predictable is good.
He's saying, but usually that means it's good. So why? So why is he got? So why is he mentioned? Why can't he just go in?
You're reading it. You're reading context into something that isn't there. He's not saying usually as a slight. He's saying this was good. Sound. Predictable is good in this case.
Sound. Well, okay, fair enough. That's fair enough then. Fair enough. I was wrong with that one then. I'll hold my hands up. If I'm reading what he's saying,
media literacy is important. Like, we're in the same game here. We've got to be. People could take what we say out of context as well. That's just nonsense.
I think people anyway. I think people are behind as well to say. But anyway, that's the way I take off Meltzer anyway, and that's the way I've always been with him anyway. But let's get back onto the match now. Let's get back onto the actual wrestling match that happened, because it did happen. Okay, it was just an angle. It was a wrestling match.
Let's discuss.
I wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't. Once again, I wouldn't say. I'm not going to sit here and say most of these matches were amazing, but I don't think once again that they were shocking the way when I've read. And you saying this was a bad match? You saying this one was bad?
It wasn't a. Again, that's the thing. I'm not going to be somebody who's going to stamp the feet on the ground and call it 0 stars or a dud based on that, but it was fine for what it was. This wasn't the low point as far as like in ring goes. There were worse matches through the night, but yeah, the match for good and bad was a means to an end to get to like the big story point, which obviously we can get into as well. But yeah, I think that's fair.
But that's the thing. But we obviously went off there with the shoulder thing with Rhea. It did well. Obviously, when you're watching this, as because it was the first match, I like that idea of playing into the shoulder injury. And I know it's not for everyone, the over the topness of like it's out and she's running, spearing herself into the announce table. But because it was the first match, I was into it, and it hid the fact of that if she is come back a bit soon or you're protecting in that way, then that was a fair story to go with. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously like we said on the weekend. So to be fair though, Ben, I was still in two minds thinking with this, because I said before, like the Priest and Balor one was more built up. This, all right, had a bit of a build up, but I think they could have dragged this one out as well. So I was a bit like that. It could have happened, and it did happen. So when he took the chair off her at first, I was like, it was all telegraphed as well at the start. We forgot to mention backstage where she bumped into Dominic, and he just had that look on his face of like, you just know it's coming. Do you know what I mean? You knew it was coming on the night, and he saved her with the original one getting disqualified. But then once he slid the chair in and took the ref, I like this in the fact of it wasn't too on the nose as well. It wasn't so obvious. He kind of done it. It was like, oh, did he really mean that? And then at the end, when obviously she hit the Oblivion on the chair, got the pin. And even then, when she was sitting on the floor, even Liv was like, and when he picked her up, even she was a bit shocked, wasn't she? That like, this didn't look like they were together all along. And then when he kissed her, so I don't know if they're going to go with that, Benno, because it looked like she was shocked and it weren't a big plan all along. So who knows what they're going to do with that?
Yeah, if we're trying to look at the logic, and this is probably a fool's errand of how this came to be, then surely she would know it was coming. This is my issue with it. Like I think you're going to attribute a lot of other people's opinions to me tonight, and I'm hoping you don't, because
get me on positive
end. Look, I speak Matty. I speak Michael Hamflet. I understand that what you guys want out of these shows isn't necessarily what other people might want out of these shows, and I think big developments, a big story, and big moments in those stories, whether they're necessarily the right payoff at the end, is another matter. But they're the things you guys want out of it, and just base it on this audience. You know what I mean? Thought the match was pretty mid. Wouldn't go crazy on it, but it was what it was. It was a means to the end to get to the angle. But like, you can understand why things are laid out like this and why WWE is in such a successful place, and doing stadium shows like this now regularly, and it'll be two night ones next year. It's because people are into this. Like, even though we were criticising the angle the other week on Spotlight and it wasn't to our taste, and shockingly wasn't to your tastes, we've still got to be able to step back and go, but it is working, because hear that pop, hear that, like, that's what the people in the crowd wanted to see. They wanted to see the payoff to this daft soap opera thing with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, and I think they absolutely should. AEW shouldn't be like WWE, and WWE should be completely different to AEW. I think that's the best we could possibly have when it comes to like these two companies. They should be offering us different things. So I agree in principle with it, and I think overall it is a success, even if it's not to our tastes. But I just thought the execution wasn't great. I think the staging of it was bad. What it reminded me of was when you go back to like the Otis turn, and I still can't believe that was the turn, because like when he turned on Chad Gable, I was one of the people going, "Oh, that wasn't the turn," because they would have made more of a production of her, and it would have been a bigger deal. No, it actually was. It just wasn't executed very well. It was a bit like I did Martin's show on Friday when Ric Flair turned on Evolution to join the Shield, and it was kind of like, oh, the commentary having to explain this, because it certainly hasn't been explained by Ric Flair's actions there. And this felt similar to the Otis thing, this one, in that like, I just think there was a better way to do it than to do it on the outside and to do it in kind of like delayed way, where you had the commentary stepping all over it as well. You had Pat McAfee shouting and screaming about like whether the turn had happened, because the commentary weren't sure whether to pull the trigger on the fact that it had happened or not. And you also had Dominic on the outside, he was smiling, so that gave away the game that he was clearly on Liv Morgan's side. But the turn still hadn't happened yet, and then they did it on the outside with the kiss, and it was just like, there had to be a better way to stage that, to do those developments, to make it a bit clearer, to get that big moment. It still got over regardless, but I just thought it was executed really poorly.
But that maybe I'm giving them way too much credit here, but I still think with Liv not being in on it there and her reactions, this could be a way where, because WWE wouldn't usually miss that, you know what I mean, Ben, or execute it like this. But I still think that this could be, once again, maybe I am looking down the line too much, which it will be on most of these matches and results. But this could be Dominic playing Liv in the end. You don't know. That's what I mean. So that's why I'm looking forward to Raw, Ben. I'm looking forward to SmackDown, which I'll say a lot tonight. I think the way they've done it, I say Liv's confused. This might be Dominic using it, and we know he's going to be a bastard in the end. He's that type of character, isn't he? So maybe that's to come. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's the way they've done it, and that'll explain it down the line. But
but that's what I mean. That confusion. You can spin it as good and as intriguing, but I think it needed to be more clear and more black and white and more of a solid moment. And I just think it was overthought. Like I say, it wasn't necessarily bad. It still got to the place they wanted to get to. But I just feel like a lot of things on this show, there were just too many. It was overcomplicated for what it needs to be. Like a simpler turn in ring and then the unite, I think, is better. Or even if you want to do it the other way, Tom helps her. She doesn't understand what's going on, and then she kisses him, and then you could go that way. But I still, with the stage of the ring, I wouldn't have done it the way they did. Connor says he has an element of the smile was the turn, but it was too total for stadiums to catch. Maybe it felt like
the kiss summarised everything, though, Ben. Yeah. That does.
But why do that before the kiss? For the commentary not to pick up on it, but it just felt like everyone was a bit confused, and it wasn't the cleanest way of getting to. Like I say, I'm a dirty pleasure, guilty pleasure. I know Garrett doesn't like the term with Dom. I think, and this is the right role for him. Obviously, you want him as a heel. It does make Rhea look a bit off, because the whole story was she was the dominant one and she wasn't really into Dom. But they can use that as a layer, and we'll see where it goes. And could be the first intergender match they do, couldn't it? Like proper one, not like the one they pitched Moxley, one where they actually go
maybe
back
on Netflix. Maybe wait for that to go on Netflix. I was thinking that's positives right?
And negative connotations if they do go there with that. But I imagine at some point Rhea's going to be a bumping Dom, and he's going to be.
She'll at least beat him up, won't she? 100%. That's coming down the line. But also in this match as well, I've got to give credit to that first Oblivion near fall, which the place come unglued for, Benno. Like this, what I'm saying throughout the night. They might be hot throughout, but they come unglued at the big moments and the near falls. And you know what I mean? So,
which is where I'll argue with the people who hate this stuff and give it naught out of 10. You can't argue that it's not working because it clearly did there. I agree with Andy as well. Yeah, Rhea's reaction was weird. It did look like she was laughing rather than smiling rather than, you know, being mad at it. It just, yeah, wasn't the best stage, but good overall. Got where he wants to go.
Yeah, of course, and it carries this on, doesn't it, Benno? For another how long you want? You know what I mean? This is going to be Raw tomorrow night, dominated, isn't it? So it gives you a reason to tune in for the TV as well.
For some. Well, following that, we had Bron Breakker and Sami Zayn in the second match of the night. This was, as we talked about on the weekend show, still felt like an odd decision for Sami to go over Bron, and a bit of a coupon buster at Money in the Bank. And yeah, Bron Breakker went over Sami Zayn here in what I would say, until later on, one of the bigger disappointments of the night. Really, I thought this would have been one of the stronger matches on the undercard. I thought it'd be more of a back and forth match. I thought they'd have more to offer. And if you weren't going to do that, maybe you'd go the direction of Bron just smashes through Sami. And it's, again, more angle than match, which is a common theme of tonight. In the end, we didn't get either of those things. We got somewhere in the middle that was just kind of there. And yeah, I didn't really think much of this one when, you know, how highly I think of Sami Zayn. And, you know, I think there's a good expectation around Bron for good reason.
Yeah, and I think this was the shortest match of the night, if I'm not mistaken, as well. It felt way shorter than every other match. And
weird,
yeah,
it was like you were rushing through for the shenanigans, you know, for the last hour. You know, they needed some time for that for Randy Orton to make it down the aisle.
Well, I'm kind of like caught here in this match, Ben, because like Sami Zayn, like fair play, done an absolute good job as well of putting Bron Breakker over, which was always going to happen, as you say, after Money in the Bank, and this was a bigger stage for Bron to get the title, and that's why they went with that result at Money in the Bank. But I've got to half agree with you. I was let down with it at the same time, but then I'm conflicted again, thinking, well, although it wasn't too much back and forth, I still had this down more of a Bron, like, not squash, but more of his performance, do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of...
If there was ever a match to just be an angle, this was it.
Yeah.
And Sami wouldn't have lost anything, I don't think, if he'd just gone that route.
No, but I don't know. As I say, this was, I don't want to say the weakest match of the night, because it still achieved a lot. Where you, as I say, you put on
in ring, it was still best than a lot of the other things on this night. It was just the most disappointing for me compared to my expectations.
It's because this was the only match without shenanigans and without interference. This was legit the only one.
3 stars,
wasn't it? Like you saying it, you know. So
in another world, though, this would be you could point to this, couldn't you? All the other matches were shenanigans. This was 3.75 4-star. There's a low ceiling for WWE for me. In ring match, and it wasn't that either. Steiner's in the crowd were obviously showing, and there was mixed feelings on that, obviously with Rick stuff recently. They just look like they don't like each other anymore, Rick and Scott. Did you see like the awkward like high five they gave each other? Yeah. And DDP stood next to him, who they both definitely hate. It was just all weird, and it still continues to be weird. Just for JP, he's not here, so I'll say it. He should be Braun Steiner. We should have got there already. We call his moves the Steiner line. I know it's a worn point by now, but it's one that needs to be made, and I can't believe they don't rectify if they're gonna, do the heavy lifting and like, beat it over the head with the fact that he's a Steiner.
It's just the fact of like when Triple H, I caught a little bit of the pressure where he said about him chatting to the Steiner. It's just Scott Steiner and Triple H conversing, but after the years, like Steiner was proper fucking ripping him to shreds, weren't he? It just shows
the bodybuilding contest and all of those,
exactly.
those wonderful angles. Tim Martin was massive on those angles. He thought that was one of the best builds for a match ever.
Oh no, Benno, them angles were unbelievable. It's just that the Rumble match was fucking... No, they were great, Benno. They were really good. But the match was awful, obviously, but... Yeah, it's just, as I say, I'm a bit in the middle on this match. It achieved what it should have. We got Bron Breakker over against an established, veteran, and he's off to the races, the new Intercontinental Champion. So in that regard, it did, but it was a bit of a letdown at the same time. Got to agree with you there. That's
where we then saw Stephanie McMahon in the crowd. Obviously, for some reason, she doesn't know what to clap. She was like an all-star babyface doing the weird shy claps. Like, what the fuck was she doing? She just thought looking a human. It continuing the great McMahon tradition of not understanding how to do like regular human things. I saw somebody say on the Discord last night, which was bang on the money. Just fucking weird. Wanted Triple H at the presser afterwards. Obviously said there's no official role for her, but she'll be around because she loves this stuff, etc. She even shared a hug with CM Punk. I saw that clip get posted. So yeah. are going on about him losing his UFC fight. I guess has been forgotten by Phil now.
Phil's officially on board now, Benno, and he's totally.
But yeah, Triple H's wife at the time, Stephanie, clapping like a seal, as Andy said.
It was definitely one of them as well, where that was the time she got filmed on camera and was definitely just sweet backstage. Then after that, just on camera.
She saw a punk, didn't she? So she stuck around for that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2 matches or 3 matches she stuck around for. But just what was the clap? What was she doing?
Don't know, mate. As someone said there, she's definitely had a few, hadn't she? She's had a couple of. I'm going for vodkas. I'll go with.
Big divorce mum energy, as Simon says here. But yeah, we were showing Stephanie, which was our way into the next match, which was LA Knight and Logan Paul. We had LA Knight making his entrance.
After he robbed the Prime, cheaped on SmackDown, didn't he?
Yeah, and he very controlled, wasn't it? Oh, I'm gonna bash this thing up. I'm going to just safely go for one window that we've not even gimmicked properly. So I was going to say gimmicked, but, an easy, cheap repair, and I'll leave the rest.
I was going to say, Ben, we've learned from Bill Goldberg's mistakes over the years. We don't just put arms through windows and real windows. We do it properly, mate. We do it control. We do
another window at least, for
we don't use real glass, Ben. I know that's a soft spot for you, but, come on.
They should do. It'd be better. But yeah, we're scared to scratch the thing, and we had Machine Gun Kelly, fresh off as obviously they'll need him next month or later this month for All In when he'll sing Bryan Danielson to the ring again. But yeah, Machine Gun Kelly was there continuing on this Logan Paul gimmick of having local music stars as his guys, despite he's a heel. Any thoughts on that before we get to the match itself?
No, just as I say, you expect this with Logan Paul in his matches, don't you? He always has some sort of celebrity gegging in and getting involved in them. It's a trait these days. But Machine Gun Kelly, is he one of your guys, Ben? Or not a fan? Or listen to him now?
Take me for Machine Gun Kelly.
I thought you'd like him, Ben.
MDK all day, not MGK all day, mate.
I just thought you'd be into him last, sorry.
Fucking Christ on a bike. He's shite. Him and Jelly Roll sat together. Yeah, that was a picture, wasn't it? But yeah, as a match, I thought this was one of the stronger matches of the night. Can't talk about it without talking about Logan Paul being a complete shit cunt on Twitter over the weekend. Absolute arsehole who caused half of that kickoff around the Olympics and everything. Just transphobic, gross shit from him. And he continues to show the worst possible judgment as he got himself a nice picture with Rob Feinstein as well over the weekend as well. Just fuck's sake. And I don't know if that's part of it. But in general, I almost feel like I'm ready for him to go away for a bit. I did think this match was good, as I say. I almost feel like, was this LA Knight's best match in WWE? And maybe it's damn with faint praise to say it's also probably on the lower end of Logan Paul's matches in WWE. I thought the work was good. The finish was a little bit odd. First time I've seen that where a heel uses a weapon to cheat and it's just immediately is no sold by the babyface, but again, strange agenting for me in that one. But yeah, lots to enjoy in the work in the match, but I kind of couldn't help but get the feeling that, I don't know, Logan Paul, both for real life reasons and in ring reasons, might have worn out his welcome for a bit, and I'd be quite happy if he took a few months off now and came back and had a fresh run, if that thing is even possible.
No, I disagree on the fact of I thought this match was really good. And I think this was one of Logan Paul's better matches, Benno, because the Ricochet match as well was a bit of a letdown last year. The triple threat at WrestleMania was a bit of a letdown with Owens and Orton, which like a bit of an odd combination. I thought this was really good. Like, honestly, like, I thought the intensity, I think LA Knight's getting better as well as he's getting older. Like, every time I see him, he's laying it in more. His cardio's up on there. We're talking about wrestling here now. We're talking about in-ring work, aren't we? Let's go there, you know what I mean? We had a bit of shenanigans, but this is one of them matches where it was laid in. You had your acrobatic dives, what we all loved, the Logan Paul, like, what was it, the twisting moonsault off the top rope. We had everything in this match. That was genuinely like, I was like, wow, with that, because I was like, how easy did he do that?
He's a cunt, but he's an extremely talented human being. Like, for you think before, like, I was aware of him properly, and it's like, oh, he's just some knobhead YouTuber. You don't realize like what a high level athlete he is, and you know, the talent is clearly there. I just wish he used some of his platform for good rather than evil at times. But yeah, I can't disagree with that side of it.
But even like the stuff before the bell with the neck breaker, the torture rack into neck breaker on the announce table looked good. The brain buster off the top, mate. I mean, that could have ended severe for Logan Paul. That I don't know, it was meant to be a brain buster, but it ended up being one. That was a scary spot. That was great as well. And as you say,
that was weird. That it was like almost like he was under rotating and then
yeah,
put himself right. I don't know if that was LA Knight correcting it or him. Andy says here, yeah, that spinning neck breaker on the table looked great as well. Like that too.
Oh, it was brilliant. And even like I think he always pulls out a new move as well. Logan Paul, remember Big Show used to use it, the power bomb, but he'd flapjack it and fall back instead of going with the power bomb, busting all new moves out. And even the stuff with MGK at the end with the knuckles, like he kind of didn't no sell it overall. But that's what you'd expect from Logan Paul, the heel, trying to retain the title. But
I just think there was another spot in the middle that could have got you there. Do you know what I mean? Rather than immediately going to no selling. It's the type of thing people get on like a Will Ospreay for. Like this was even more blatant than that. It wasn't even no selling a move. It was no selling like a brass knuckle shot, which is, gigantic. And it did feel like there was a step missing there. But outside of that, no, it was good. And I think overall, I think, I think LA Knight is somebody who's got a ceiling as far as an in-ring wrestler goes. But, he's had a couple of half-decent matches this year. He has looked, he's worthy of his push is probably what I'd say. Going back to the presser after the show. I wish he'd been asked some more substantive questions. Maybe even asked about the Logan Paul controversy. But the questions he was asked, I think it's dead interesting to look at it. Like, to compare the fact that he has had a 20-year career against the Logan Paul, who's had, 11, 12 matches or something like that. Like, it's proper stark difference. But I think it's a nice story, the LA Knight story. The fact that, he's gotten over to the degree he has, as we talked about on Weekend Show, the fact that he's retained that overness.
Stayed over.
All of the other distractions. And yes, this isn't the big world title win at WrestleMania that maybe you could have fantasy booked for him, when he first started getting hot on the main roster. But it's a nice kind of reward, isn't it, for all that work? A nice, a big scalp to get to be the one to take the belt off Logan Paul, and a big moment for him that's obviously been earned and, was well received.
That's like you're saying, things can't be denied, Benno. The fact he's got himself over in WWE, he stayed over with. How many times have you said it more than anyone? How many baby faces are over in this company in the last 18 months? And he's one that's always up there in the top 2 or 3, getting the biggest reactions every time he comes out. But this is the first time I will put a little star against Triple H's booking as well, because we've seen it with Bayley, we've seen it with, I'll say, Cody Rhodes as well, to a degree later on. Once these people get there and get the title, it was nice, LA Knight, he's going to get this title, we're building him up, he deserves it. Now he's there, what do you do with him? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. How's he going to be presented?
He loses the thread a lot.
Exactly. Bayley's done it.
That's where he's very similar to Tony Khan, actually, yeah.
So that's the only, but at the same time, bigging LA Knight up again, if anyone can ride it still, and maybe even if it is poor booking or poor whatever we're going to call it, he's going to retain that overness, that'll get him through it as well. So I'm a bit more positive for him than say a Bayley.
He literally has faked it till he's made it, and now he's made it, and it's genuinely it's a lesson, isn't it? How you carry yourself, and
he does carry himself amazingly. You can't deny that.
Definitely.
Can't deny it.
So there we go. That was that one. From there, we had up next for the women's title, Nia Jax and Bayley. I've got this is going to be quick. I've got nothing to say on this. It was crap. The finish was one too many. As far as if you were going to do a lot of distraction finishes and nonsense and all these story matches, I think this was one where you could have avoided one. I know they want to get over the tiffy time, money in the bank kind of thing, shadow holding over Nia Jax, which I think you called on the Weekend Show would be the dynamic going forward. But it was one too many for me. But Bayley's been kind of treading water for so long now that I don't think she'd have lost anything by just putting Nia Jax over in the strong terms, and the bonus would have been we wouldn't have had to sit through a Nia Jax match if you've just done it a bit quicker as well. That's kind of all I can really say about this. But it's not even it's a giant travesty either, because I'm not that massively into Bayley right now for good reason. I think half of it's a booking, the other half is probably that horrendous theme song. Which is,
it's the one of the worst of all time. It's 5 themes in one, and they're all bad.
Yeah, it gets worse every time. Every cliche.
As it goes on, it's so bad. They need to have a word with that. That is awful. But rough. I'll say, Nia Jax has been all right since she's come back, Benno. I think she's another
examples, though, because you say this a lot. She hasn't wrestled much, has she? I was looking it up. I was going to... do you know
that Rhea Ripley match? Go on. Sorry, go on.
Since she's came back? Less than 20?
Actually, yeah. But I think she's... or
maybe it's 2021. It's close, though.
there's just something different about it that the vibes I'm getting when I see her though as well. I know the Rhea Ripley match, I always go to that. I know that was in front of Rhea's like home fans, so you're gonna get that energy off that. But I just thought she was a perfect heel for Rhea Ripley, and I think she's a perfect natural heel for any babyface because she's never going to get cheered, really, is she? So you can always guarantee on that she's not going to be one of them cool heels. She's always going to be hated, which you need people like that on your roster. I'm not gonna lay into it as much as you are, Benno, because I think she is improving. I think she's not the greatest, but I think
I don't see any difference myself. Like I don't see.
No, I can. There's a bit more to it because she's out there longer as well, doing longer matches. Even like with the Rhea one, with this one, must have went over 10, 12, whatever minutes. But like usually it was a bit shorter, wasn't it? But I do like the fact of I thought she hit a cracking jackknife. I'll go homage to Kevin Nash who's in the stands. I thought the actual jackknife was brilliant. So she's getting a bit more safer in there. No, Bailey alluded to that recklessness on the thing. But
maybe ask Pam that. She might tell you a different story after that bonsai drop.
Oh, I think that they're all right then, Benno. They're not bad. But I think another thing as well. I take it all day, Benno. Come on, you just got to do is clench your chest and you take it. Come on, you've been in there. You
tell that to the jobbers in the 90s, man. Don't know about that.
Once again, I think it achieved what it set out to do. I think Bailey has been, let's just call it, she's been terrible since she's won the title. Maybe that is the booking, blame Triple H. Maybe it's a performances, maybe a combination of the two. So it was about time Nia Jax, won this belt. She won Queen of the Ring. We'll go all the way with her. And let's just see what happens next with Tiffy and stuff. So, and see what Bailey, more importantly, does, because but under Triple H, like he always uses her as the female Sami Zayn. There'll always be a spot for her, of course, but honestly, I can't get past how good that Damage Control and build was to the Io Sky match and a great moment. But it's been the complete opposite since Mania. It's
no reason to cheer it or like her right now.
No.
Yeah, there you go. There's the forfeit. I give him the bonsai drop at the live show. Ewan says here. Again, I mean, yeah, they're going to be telling stories, aren't they, with Nia Jax and Tiffy? To my mind, they just look like two Scouse mums going to Bootle Strand, pushing the prams down them too. And they proper got a look. If you know, you know. But fuck me, that's your WWE Women's Division going forward, and I think it is one of Triple H's big weaknesses that doesn't get pointed out enough for me. That plus just the lack of any African American talent on this show, which is kind of a shocking thing that I think people have rightly been pointing out about as booking as well. And there's a couple of women in the women's division who could very much be on these shows rather than some of the women that aren't, that might resolve that situation too. But yeah, going on from there, we did have next Drew McIntyre and Punk, or sorry, was this 1997, mate, as Michael Cole told me it was. I don't even know where to start with this.
Letting you go first, and I'm going to not say a word now, Ben. You just take it away from me.
I'm terrified for Garrett to say it, I'll say that, because I've been talking this up. I've been talking up the heat in this one, and the overall feud, even if, for clarification's sake, and to be fair, I think the heat has gone down a little bit over the last 2 weeks. Like I said, if it was an EWR game, you would have lost a couple of overness points just by dragging it out a little bit too long. Drew was made to look a bit of a fool, a couple of times too many for me, and just in general, it felt like the match should have been paid off before this. But obviously, real life situation is at part fault for that. But yeah, they also made some decisions in this one, mate, that I'm not a fan of either. One of which we talked about in the weekend show going in with Seth being the ref. But go on, I'll let you go first because I've got some thoughts on this one.
This is one where it's, once again, I might be a bit conflicted. I agree with the fact that I would much have rather it been a straight up one-on-one than with Seth being there. Like that's just everyone pretty much agrees on that. But with Seth being in there, and let's even get past Seth, the bracelet stuff, I didn't mind, Benno. I've got to be honest, I don't mind that kind of story getting told. And I've seen a lot of people like really, really down on it, but I don't mind it because I think at the same time, if Phil's coming in here, he's just, once again before, he's converted now, Benno. He's doing the type of WWE match, and this might, like, you might be happy with this. He's just agreeing that he's doing. He lost the match as well, which we both predicted on the weekend show he would. So he's doing business in that regard as well. But yeah, I didn't mind it, Ben. I thought it built up well. I enjoyed the spots where like he had Drew up for the GTS and then he spotted the bracelet on Seth's arm. And it was like, is Seth doing sound there, just picking it up, or did he wind him up with it? So I like it, the way it played off into that. If we're going to have Seth in this situation, then it played off well in that regard. So Ben, there's a lot I did like about it, mate, and I know you're going to be the complete opposite with the bracelet stuff, but it's one of them things. I've seen people say as well, it's only a $2 thing. So what? If your wife made you it and it's got emotional attachment to you, I couldn't care if it was a freebie, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Maybe some people have, you know, people must have little things they've got off the, you know, the partners and stuff. So I can relate to that myself. Look, I've got a bracelet that me and Steph got like one of the first weeks we fucking got together. That hasn't left my arm, Benno, since I've been with her. So I can relate to shit like that, and that's fair enough. But if it's not for your taste, it's not for your taste, is it?
In your backyard, Fed, when you were putting yourself over as the commissioner, you wouldn't have stopped the 2 count to get that bracelet back, dog. And that was you booking it
too. He's got feelings, Phil. What can you say? He's an emotional guy.
They have tapped. I've got a lot to say on this. They have tapped into the worst part of his personality, where I absolutely like. There's elements of this where it's like, here he goes, corporate man Phil, willing to play along with the Roman Reigns formula, which I'll get into. But the biggest thing for me was clearly they've got into him, like they've wormed his way into his brain where his biggest weak point is, because like I believe he'd go along with that. He'd be like, oh yeah, the bracelet is that important. You know, the dog is like a baby to me. You know, that it's got my dog's name on it. And AJ, he is so sanctimonious and filled with such self-belief, and is so like, he's just so Phil, isn't he? That I actually believe that part of it. I believe that he would care that much about the stupid fucking bracelet, that like they could talk him into making that part of the match and part of the story they told here. But it was all wrong for the first match in this feud, for this blood feud that has been done so well up to a point that felt like they both hated each other, down to, and I didn't even love it. I didn't love Punk using the Feinstein photo to make a kayfabe point rather than just outright call out the fact that Rob Feinstein was backstage at WWE. Would have got more points with me for that. But, you know, even down to little things like that, that's the negative there. But the positive is it kind of created that little bit of, oh, maybe he does hate Drew. Maybe Drew does hate him. There was a lot of believable, real bile and hate in this. And as I've talked about in the last months on Spotlight, like, you don't get that in WWE feuds. And what this needed was a match that suited that, and you can do it in the most WWE way possible. I don't think it's either or. It didn't have to be, you know, something completely un-WWE, but it did have to be heated, and the focus did have to be on that hatred, and less so that even the fucking stupid friendship bracelet being the thing they built this around. Seth Rollins being there was the biggest negative on this. Like, he was just from the start, because the crowd was so hot for Punk, for the entrances, for Punk and Drew coming out, for even the anticipation of the match. When did you see that? The graphic went up and people were going mad, going, fucking hell, we're finally going to see the two of them going at it. And then the second that fucking clown was out there in the middle of them, and them two are like, you know, they're out on the outside brawling. What are the fans doing? Paying attention to Seth Rollins, because it's a big fucking stadium crowd, and they're distracted by shiny keys. And in this case, the shiny keys were Seth Rollins in his daft outfit. And I've seen him criticised for kind of playing along with it when they're singing a song, because again, fucking stadium crowd, have a bit of sense. They were going to do that. You should have known that going in. That's a reason not to do it and not to put him in this spot. And he kind of played along with it, and then I would argue he tried to shut them down a bit by trying to put the focus back on the two. I think that's what some are missing. So I'm not even necessarily having a go at Colby Lopez, the man there in that regard, but just his very presence, because of what his character is, because he was clearly scripted to be trying to take the attention and work, you know, work his way as part of this story and be this third wheel in this story. It just took the focus so far away from what the focus should have been here. Pamphlet loved it. I know you liked it as well. I said to Hamfley, I probably would have forgiven it if it was the second or third match, or if Punk and Drew had a big match, they'd had a big Hell in a Cell in October, and then, you know, knowing like the heat is dissipating in a feud, and you throw a third one in and you do a three-way instead, or you throw a third person in and make them the referee. that would have been fine down the line. It was not the right match for this setting in so many ways. And actually, there were elements of the work I liked. There were elements of what Punk and Drew were doing in there and the spots they were doing that I enjoyed. There were elements of hate in there, at least the very first moments of the match when they were doing the hockey fight and things like that. There were good moments like that in there. But it was all distracted by Seth being a clown in the background. That had to be, once you did that, part of the story in the match, which I'm not even saying was badly executed. I'm just saying it shouldn't have been the story in the match. And then, yes, the bracelet was the other big part of it. And it's beat you over the head WWE stuff. And I get it. In Marvel, in Fast and Furious, in big name movies, you can make an object your MacGuffin, and an object is whatever, as the degree of importance that you make it. And again, to play devil's advocate, the reaction of the crowd when that bracelet moment happened told you people were invested in that side of the story. And they had planted that seed at the SmackDown when Drew took it in the first place, which was one of the better angles that they did. But that should have been a moment in the match. It shouldn't have been the entire match. And again, I think they wormed their way into Punk's brain, and corporate man Punk went along with it, and they built the match around it, which turned it into something it shouldn't have been for the first time meeting between the two of them. And I said earlier, I was disappointed by Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker. That doesn't compare to the disappointment I had with this match.
That's the Punk loyalty.
And that's not even from a star rating point of view. I'm not saying it was a dud. I'm not saying it was a North Star. I'm not about to go on Cage Match and and give it that rating. The work was still all right for what it was, but it was wrong in so many ways. Overthought, over-agented, and just a bad idea going in that anybody could have seen.
Yeah, like I said before, that passionate speech there, Benno, it should have just been a one-on-one. Like, if that would have been a better for what they've set up.
Might get that at Hell in a Cell now in October.
Yeah,
2 months. We're
gonna get a freeway at some point as well, aren't we? That's gonna happen. That will happen. But what?
You don't have to tell that story. You don't, though, do you? Do it later. Do it in 2 months.
Even the chef stuff, what, like you said there, I wasn't big on, but the bracelet stuff, I'm all in, Benno. I'm all in on it, so I can't deny that. That's just me. And I'm there all
get
day
away with it for one spot, but not for, and even like the fucking the 1990 when you got Michael Cole literally go shades of 1997 before the spot has even happened. It's like, just sit back, mate. Just sit back. That was another like big negative on the commentary for me, and they stepped all over that too. And that being any way organic. I'm sure Garrett loved Punk's Brett tights, but him having that, fucking Drew dressing like Undertaker, Seth clearly doing a nod to Shawn Michaels. That was another of the worst elements of Punk in that Collision run, where it was just like, I mean, we've stepped over the line here of tributes to pure cosplay.
Oh, mate,
and I think the commentary in conjunction with all that made it cosplay, and it wasn't the organic moment they were going for either. So I didn't enjoy that either. And it was just, all of the work they put into this, building into it, and people like me falling for it, going, this is fucking great. Unbelievably, WWE are making me invested in a rivalry, and for that to be the payoff, I can understand maybe someone like you liking it. I can understand, the Fedheads who love this type of storytelling being into it, but it wasn't the moment for it, even if, Punk wants to show he can play ball and do that style. Because we're probably gonna go straight. Are we going straight to Seth Punk now? Like, what a fucking wasted opportunity that is if we're doing that. Just awful. The only good moment was Punk having a go at Seth, going, I don't care about you or your Sabu pants. That was funny. That was very organic, Phil. Rest of it, it wasn't. To borrow a phrase from Garrett, inauthentic, is that the word? Unorganic. It was just overly staged for something that didn't need those bells and whistles. And I'm not even against doing it in a couple of months. Not for this one.
I will give Phil as well. I love that Claymore at the end, the way he took it, like he turned his head to the side, like it looked real. I'll give him that as well. And as I say,
I didn't think his performance was bad. I thought this might be the Punk
better than a fourth. Yeah.
He looked physically great, like at least from like just an aesthetic point of view. He looked bigger than I think he has in a long time. He was blowing out his ass at certain points. I did not expect that. But I thought the execution mostly was good, and I think the individual spots between him and Drew in isolation were good. It looked to me there was chemistry there. It was just all of this other shit.
And is that not? And once again, it's not going to change your mind, obviously. But do you think they've done all this as well too? Like, hide the fact of Punk's, like, in case he was scared of him getting injured, and that's why they lent into this drama and shit like that, or it could be an element to it as well.
I wonder whether Seth was there as like an insurance policy, because if Punk's injured, Seth can step in and do the match. I can empathise with that thinking, but once it came to the night, just wasn't right. It wasn't right. And again, I was hoping for, it's WWE, you know, my ceiling's about 4 stars. I was hoping to brush up against that ceiling with this one, and in the end, it was 2.5 to 3, maybe 2.5, closer to 2.5, 2.75 for me. Maybe something like that. That's massive disappointment for something I was so invested in.
I tell you what's going to be the opening convo on Grapple, lads, is we need Gareth's reaction to it on Wednesday night, because I can't wait. He's going to like fucking hate this. Oh my God. He's going to go on a rant. I've got a feeling, mate. Like, you're more... He didn't pass comments, really. He just doesn't like Punk, does he? He was just like, Punk didn't like get anything or come out of that looking good at all. He said he just thought but he understood that him playing ball. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I went with Punk in the pick'ems just because I honestly thought Phil is so fucking like, I don't know, like he's got such thin skin, hasn't he? I was like, there's no way Drew is getting this many lines off on him, and he's going to put him over as well. So I just assumed that the Punk was going to win. It was the right call to put Drew over. Like, it absolutely was, considering the booking they've done leading up to this. And you can explain Punk as, you know, this is his first match back. And he did get a couple of, you know, Hogan-esque visual pins in there as well. That hasn't been lost on me either. But that can be part of the story, dare I use that word. You know, the Punk's first match back, and he lost. Drew, you know, got a bit, you know, a scalp here and got an element of revenge. That part of it I like. That part of it I'm glad they went through with, because I didn't actually expect it when it came to her on the night and you put a gun to my head. But yeah.
But it's all that is mad.
Hell in a Cell, can we just bin Seth off and just do a one-on-one at Hell in a Cell for the sickos? Just for me. Just have like a fucking, both of them blade. I should be allowed that now after sitting through this, Matty. They should let me have that. Because I think there's something there with that, you know? Oh, yeah, Garrett's going to hate it. You're not wrong.
Yeah, he's going to absolutely hate it. But Ben, I've just got to go. It's the word of the day, mate. Bracelet. Like, I loved even the Anaconda Vice when he had it in, and then he realised it was on him, Ben.
So shit. Get the win first and then get the bracelet. It makes no sense.
Ben's in his mind. He's been fucking in his mind for months, hasn't he? That's what it is, mate.
Cinema is what it is.
He's got him.
Bad cinema.
Mind. Oh, I don't know. I love that side of it, but at the same time, can't like disagree. I like what we got presented in that fact, but it should have been, if we wanted that heated rivalry, it should have just been a one-on-one.
Skip the match.
Yeah,
felt like we skipped the match.
It's one of them things that'll be, well, debated, is that the right word, until we get the next one. Really.
Big fan of Claire's accessories, as you can say. Steph made that point, like, you know what would have sold that better? Would have made it, given it a bit more legitimacy. Why couldn't it be his wedding ring?
Yeah,
everyone could. You know, that's it. That's less of a jump, innit? Like,
maybe I'm an emotional guy like Phil, Benno. I'm more, you know, inclined with that way. I can get it. I mean, I've stuck up for fucking other fucking angles over the years where you can have that emotional, or see why they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I can totally see why they're doing it with the bracelet. And it's not going to be for everyone, as I've seen today. It's not for everyone, but I don't mind it at all. So, yeah.
There we are. More on Grapple, lads, probably coming on that one.
100%.
Oh, now that I've got that out my system, I've got more to go. Gunther versus Damian Priest. I'm starting here, Matty. The positive here, I thought this was well worked. I thought the in-ring stuff was good. I thought Damian Priest, as I maybe suspected going into this one, his ugly in-ring style was a good little, like, kind of, not even contrast with Gunther. He had chemistry with Gunther. It felt like a bit of a fight here. It felt like a bit of a struggle. It felt different to a WWE match in the way that Punk and Drew, unfortunately, didn't in ways I was hoping that would. There were ugly physical elements to this I really liked. I thought the two men involved did a lot of great work. I'm not against paying off the Judgement Day story with those two, with Finn Balor and Priest. To be honest, if anything, it's a relief. Having tuned into the odd Raw over these last few years and seeing this tease, at least we finally got to the fucking Judgment Day Civil War, because again, Triple H is drinking the same water as Tony Khan here. You know, why have one stable fallout when you could have two? You know, why have one 50 shoulder bump when you can have 50 on the same show? Yeah, we'll get there with him. But yeah, that's kind of like the positive end is the work of the guys in the match, and the negative is, yeah, the post-match for me. In that, again, another example like the opener for me, Matty, where, like I said, I can sympathise with wanting to get to that story point and to tell that story, but I feel like there's 20 better ways to do it than they did here. Like, right down to like Gunther and fucking Damien having to roll over into the ropes so that they could do the cinema moment with Finn Balor putting his feet on the ropes. It was just shite. Finn Balor turning around and doing the big, you know, emotional moment where he's doing like his evil looking at the ground thing. Absolute shite. And it just made a big Gunther win here, which should be the headline point, come out with an asterisk. Like Gunther could have just won, and then we could have done the storytelling after, or we could have found a way to do it that doesn't give Damian Priest a visual pin over like the boss Gunther that they have done an incredible job up to now. They haven't been doing these things with him. He pretty much always wins clean. He pretty much always is in control of his own destiny. Over creative, over storied, and overthought again for me. This payoff to the match.
See, I disagree there in a way with the Gunther thing. I think it's about time that someone stepped up to him. It's about time that he looked a bit fucking, you know, against the ropes. And that's why I thought
the night he wins the world title, that's the time.
I still think at the same time, like because if he's ran through everybody and he's had a long championship reign already, I love the fact of Priest like giving it back to him with Gunther. You've got to mix it up, Benno. You can't just go for your old career. Unless you're Obafemi, that's the one that I'll say should never get beaten. But if we're back to it, like Gunther should. That's why I loved it, Ben. Because how many matches have we seen Gunther and he dominates and it's always someone flurries back and he just knocks you down. In this bit, I love the way Priest stood up to him and knocked him down, and the fans were behind it, and it's like fucking good on. And that's good on Gunther as well, but that'll help him eventually. You can't just be the same for your whole career. You've got to
but it's the night he won the world title. Do you not see my point? This isn't.
Yeah, I can see it, but I still think that it's fine. I still think that's fucking all good in that, because he's gonna have this. He's good, and once again, this is where it is a Triple H trope. I think with him winning it, he's gonna have the title for a long time again, isn't he? So one night where he wins the world title, Ben, and I don't think it was. I don't know. I do blame Gunther for the spot, though. I think when he took that South of Heaven, he should have rolled over. He should have bumped a bit more. You know what I mean? Come on, lad. You've given out to everyone over the years. Let's start learning how to bump a bit. Do you know what I mean? Because I think it was his fault. Gunther, he should have bounced over more. It made Priest look like a dickhead that he had to roll him over.
It's just a bad spot.
Yeah, but Gunther should have just moved over, Benno.
No,
he should have. No, it looked bad because he wasn't in position. He could have. There's no way he can be in position. And just moved over.
You can't take that bump and land where they wanted Gunther to be. That's why it's overthought, because they had to, in a convoluted way, get them. You don't see people bump on that part of the ring for a reason. It's not possible.
No, but you can bump and then move over. How many people do you see in wrestling do it? In any fucking, who's got a bit of fucking flexibility, they bump and they bounce over. It's easy as that. And that's why it looks shit, because Damian Priest had to roll him to go into that spot. I was fuming with Cody saying
I mean, that happens, but it was a bad idea. It was a bad idea.
I don't think so. I think if this out of Evan and he would have bumped over, it wouldn't have looked stupid, because you wouldn't have had to see him basically push him over. So. It wouldn't have. I don't think it would have. It was just a turn that had been built up as well. Definitely for this one. I just think. Once again, I'm getting fucking head up now. I think it was just
defend everything, mate.
I'm not defending it. No, I will call it crap with it, but this wasn't crap. Just Gunther's bumping was crap. He's allowed to be called out for not getting fucking a bump right. You know what I mean? That's fair play. He's great, and he was good in the match. Of course, he was. I like the blood on the chest, I like the way he kept referring to it as well and looking at it. That it was getting him thing. But I can't stress enough how good Damian Priest's been and how good in this match. I love the fact of finally Gunther, and it was fair play to Gunther as well, for Priest actually getting the better of him during the match. It's about time, Benno. Honestly, I thought it was fucking brilliant. Really did. And all right, Finn Balor's never been. I've never been a big fucking Finn Balor guy, and it was the face he pulls when he turned around. I mean, that looked a bit fucking hammy and hokey. But as you say before, I like the way we've actually finally got there after fucking 2 years of subtle teasers, and finally he's actually pulled the trigger on
again. Not against doing it, I just would have done it another way. I would have done it in a way that Gunther went over, found another way to make Damian Priest look strong, and found another way to get to that story point. I like the Triple H, a bit like Shawn Michaels on NXT, remembering his own lore and remembering the big Chinatown with him and her at that WrestleMania where they staged it through the night, where DX were reunited and then they split up again. There was an element of that here, wasn't there? I like that element of it. I just think, again, like the opener, it could have been staged a lot better. I think that's what the two things have got in common. But I did, yeah, I liked obviously the physicality of it. I liked the Gunther bleed, who makes me bleed my own blood. Nelson Muntz angle there as well.
But I like that as well, Ben. Sorry.
Yeah. And again, going forward, I think it's going to be Gunther should just hold the belt forever for me. Like, again, this world title doesn't really hold much water for me as a world title in WWE. We'll make it one, Gunther. And, you get there by him being an undefeatable monster, which, again, is at odds with how they laid this match out for me. But I think he's going to be a great champion. And I think, hopefully, we're going to forget it going forward, that this was how you got there, even if it wasn't ideal.
But even when he turned on him and he seen maybe it was a bit too far with him looking on the screen, because they don't really do that, do they? They played the replay straight away and then Priest looked on the big screen and was like,
do more of that.
That was actually quite, because
if the fans in the audience can see it, why can't the wrestlers? I hate that. Like, that was, I like that. That was a positive. Like, that was,
he lent into that.
A good element of it.
And then I like the fact, again, when he got the sleeper, I like the way Priest got that one big more, and the fans were right behind it. He got that one big, like I'm still in here, and done the old reversal, Bret Hart to Steve Austin, the fucking, when he rolls over in the sleeper. The fans were really into it. And that's why I think it was good, because in the end, he got the title, the fans were into it, we got a turn. I was really big on this match and the story overall.
I liked the little cameo of Jenny after the match. Thought that was a nice moment. Even if, again, humanized Gunther maybe on a night you don't want to do that, but I think again you'll get away with it. It'll be fine. I think he's going to be a great monster champion. I will say give Gareth a bone. Gunther he looks like he's getting even smaller, and I still think, again, I should say from the start, I think I was the loudest person in NXT UK and in his main roster thing. All I said every time I saw Gunther was, needs to eat a few pies. I still think that, but I think despite that, he's made it work, and despite that, it hasn't really had a notable effect on, his work, and WWE fans believe him as this monster big boss. He is physically intimidating enough that you can get away with it. But I still would rather that he ate a couple of pies, and I don't know if he needs to knock this CrossFit on the head or what. But again, it's more of a personal preference. I can't say it's not working, because it is. And he's gonna be a monster world champion. He's gonna be a final boss type world champion, regardless of it. But it is notable. Absolutely, just to chuck Garrett one. But yeah. There we go. That was that. Enjoyable in-ring match, I would say, even if, I didn't love the post-match. We went from there into a less enjoyable segment. Come on, let's agree on something, Matty. How fucking crap was the Miz and R-Truth segment here? As we, of course, announced the apparently the US record attendance of 57,791. SummerSlam US attendance record. It's actually not far off what WrestleTix are reporting. So I don't know whether has there been a change in fucking policy and they're actually giving real numbers, or WrestleTix off on this one. I'm interested in what the follow-up reporting is going, because I believe WrestleTix have it at about 55,000, and obviously Tony Khan has been careful to make sure that the WrestleTix and the like know that the number for Wembley right now doesn't include the boxes and other things that you can round up and make the numbers stronger. No, I don't think they go that far over on that side, mate. But this lot, they absolutely do. But segment itself was utter fucking garbage. JELLYROLL jumping his queue with his chair, A-Town Down Under doing only what they're good for, and R-Truth doing the normal R-Truth comedy. Does Triple H just think R-Truth's hilarious? Like, what are we doing?
He must do, mate. But yeah, this was just, just nothing to say on it, mate. It was just, it's filler, innit? Just, it's just, it's the chance to go and get your snacks in, refill your drink, just do whatever you want to do.
There's a lot of them through the night, gotta be said. Like, there's a lot of, I don't even necessarily hate it. I know people complain about it a lot, and I understand where that complaint comes from. You compare the big WWE show with the big AEW show, and there are a lot of, like, down moments and a lot of video package and a lot of Peacock are running ads right now, so let us tell you about Charlotte Flair type of moments. But I don't necessarily hate them, because it means I can get a beer and I can get myself ready for the next match. I know that's not a popular take. I know people feel differently on it, but this was a step too far for me. It was like, all right, come on, lads, I'm ready for the main event.
To be fair, I think they need to be in the middle. I think WWE's last a bit too long, if we're being totally honest. And I think AEW literally goes to the next match. There needs to be a happy medium where it's just a couple to go and get a drink, you know what I mean? And then come on a bit quicker. But yeah, I don't know, Ben. maybe I'm just used to them. They just don't affect me anymore, these type of things. So
sounds like a lot of things don't affect you anymore, but we'll get to the main event in a minute.
Honest,
that Manscaped ad, by the way, Andy Ogden mentions here, yeah, that was fucking something else. I said it on the Discord, I can't believe WWE got the Manscaped promo code before JP did. How great would JP be reading out those ads? Can't believe we haven't got it. Reach out to someone at Manscaped, come on, we'll help. I'll sell fucking wings as well. I'm quite happy to sell wings. So. There's a Mango Habanero, a big fan of them, you know, anytime down in London. Make sure they,
what about that Mike's Lemonade, Benno? You like that with you? Is that it?
Mike's Hard Lemonade?
Yeah, Hard Lemonade.
Yeah.
You'd be into that.
Probably all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
White Claws are fine, aren't they? Better than Well, there we go. So yeah, we'll see what the real number turns out to be on the attendance. But again, it does bear repeating. It's obviously a very healthy number for WWE's number 2 show of the year, and it tells you where we are from a business point of view with WWE. Unavoidable at this point. Which takes us to the main event, Matthew, which is Bloodline Rules, which got announced after weekend show. We did say we probably expected that, or expected.
Take your deep breaths, Benno. Wait, just take your deep breaths, Mix. I'll go as well.
It's all right, we've got a while to go before we get to the match, mate.
Yeah.
Because there's a P-match first, as we had. The big entrances, obviously, with Solo coming out. Not much to say about that. Other than the fact that I actually do quietly quite like the Solo theme. Don't like many WWE themes, but it's one I don't hate. That one. The Cody entrance, though, we've got to talk about that first. I was standing up and saluting the screen, mate. I was fucking loving it. Like, it's very John Cena and very, like, it would be too much in the hands of somebody else. It would create the wrong type of heat in the hands of somebody else. But there's just something about Cody where he's that right balance of, like, phony and quite genuine in his cheesiness that it meets in the middle somewhere, and he gets away with this shit that other people don't. Like, I'll get into the Sonada mask, which was fucking hilarious that he came out with, his little nod to his mate Triple H, fucking Pharaoh the dog getting one last run out. Apparently this might be one of their last shows, and good job they kept her backstage this time. Fucking I still can't believe they did brought him out in the firework display in AEW. I think this is definitely a better way to do it, but of course Cody gets his big thing. Not only does he have like one entrance outfit, he changes into the big jacket as well. You get that moment as well where you get the upgrade as well. Betty in the lead here, Matty. Cameo of cameos. You can't tell me Paul Triple H Levesque isn't watching AEW every week as Arn Anderson, no Glock in hand, appears backstage here in like a moment that is clearly a reference as a lot of, like, even on SmackDown, Cody was talking about, a lot of people don't know my relationship with Tama Tonga going back, talking about like Bullet Club and New Japan and stuff. All this stuff is so baked in with Cody, but it doesn't get any more normal that it's so heavy-handedly referenced here, like Arn Anderson, his ex-AEW manager, being there to give him a pep talk and to set up this Bloodline Rules match. Pissed myself laughing at this one, Matty. I bet you did too.
Oh, mate, when I seen Arn there, like, as you say, just absolutely just got creased up. But yeah, just as you say, Benno, that's Cody, innit? Just top schmouser, like, yeah, and that's where I'm not massive on him, which I'll go into some more in a bit, like, but he makes it work. Like, as you said, if it was anybody else, like, the fans would be turning, but he's so beloved that he can get away with it. Do you know what I mean? He's over as that mega baby face that even I can't. No one can deny it, Benno, and he does make this thing where
you're gonna try in a bit. I'm looking forward to it.
He's just that ultimate though schmouser, isn't he? And you just know, like as you say, I'd say he's more 60% fake, Benno. Not even half and half. He's 60% fake, isn't he? But he just plays it so well.
He's got that Rock Terramana Tequila Instagram post kind of thing going on, hasn't he? You know?
Yeah, he's learned from the masters, like. But
or in your words, me, whenever I talk to anyone from British wrestling in real life. Any of my old mates from the mid-2000s.
But it does, you can't deny it, that it just adds to his whole presentation, doesn't it? The bus, the dog, obviously the outfits, and obviously Arn Anderson now, and hopefully, do you reckon it is a one-off, Benno, or do you reckon we get might see more of Arn at the pay-per-views?
And they drew the right line with Brandy, and that, like, Brandy's been great in her moments. Like, she walks out to the stage with Cody, and then she fucks off. She sits front row. Yeah. They've drawn that line that AEW has never had, like, the, what's the word, consistency, discipline, to go, okay, Arn's good for this, but maybe not for that. Yeah, you might get little moments like this where he's like his coach who occasionally does little backstage nods with, but you're not going to see him doing the hands moment Jose Lothario following Shawn Michaels out routine. It's going to be more like this, where it's more removed. It is, and that's fine. That's fine. It's just mind blowing to see like this gigantic nod to AEW law. All of that kind of help himself.
It is. It's incredible. But you mentioned that when we got to the gorilla position and he started changing into the big waistcoat and that match though, Ben, like you say, what was going on? I'm sure he's wore something similar though. He's
Triple H has.
Yeah.
That's where he got it from.
See, he's just playing. He just knows what he's doing so
even
much.
Even that, he's so clearly teacher's pet and we all still love him. Like, it's ridiculous. He's the quarterback, as Triple H will say. Like, oh, I've never seen anything like it.
Speak for yourself, say you love him like Benno. Come on, we'll go into that in a minute. Come on. Let's get into the match now, the big main event match. That the matches didn't happen on this. We've got a big main event one here, Benno. So come on, where do you want to start?
You can't make that point here. This match again, I think it's a side effect of doing Bloodline rules. As soon as they announce
we'll agree on that. That's what
as soon as they announce that, you're going to have a 20-minute worthless match. Worse than that, though, as much as I love the Arn thing, Arn is outright going, "Oh, I've got you some backup, mate." So he's literally telling you there's going to be interference here. Yeah. Like, this first 20 minutes was by design, I think, in the end, made completely pointless. Probably because they had no confidence in Solo Sikoa. But even saying that, it was, come on, Matty. It was still on the low end of any WWE main event match outside of maybe Jey Uso and Roman Reigns from last year, but I'm just poking you now. In general, like,
of course. Go on.
Week doesn't cover it, mate. This was basic to a fault. This was them laying it out as basically as they could just to get Solo through the match. It was just bang average, mate. It wasn't even bad. It was just weak. It's probably the word. Below average, probably more to say than bang average. It was again by design in some ways, but in execution and performance, it was a nothing happening main event that you're just gonna have to admit I'm right, Matty.
No.
Not a good promo, not a good wrestler. Can't wear the suit.
I've not said, and you can go back and listen to all these tapes. I've never said Solo's gonna be the guy or he's gonna be a main eventer.
You said he was gonna win the world title.
I said he could win the world title for the story. I said that. That's all I said. But you can't. You're saying you're laying this blame out on Solo Sikoa because they're protecting him. When's Cody Rhodes been this great worker, this great wrestler?
He's not.
When are you going to tell me? So you're not.
He's not.
Because he's not a carrier, is he? Because the first two matches of his title reign, they had to put AJ Styles in there with him to get these quote unquote great wrestling matches out of him. So what are we doing? What are we doing here?
AJ Styles hasn't been great in like 5 years. Like, what are you on about?
No, but he's 50 times the worker and wrestler Cody is, though, isn't he?
No.
Hey, we're talking about in-ring work. No, it is, though, isn't he? So that's why.
At this point in the career, they're about the same.
This is what it is. It's this. What we're going to again. It's this match thing. It's this thing. He's never been a carrier for the whole career, Cody. Yeah. So if someone else was in there, they would have like. And Solo, I'm not saying Solo's not to blame at the same time. I'm not saying that at all. But if Cody Rhodes is in there meant to be this great main eventer, surely he could elevate Solo a little bit more. No, is that not a wrong thing to say?
Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart have all had matches of this level with equivalent talent to Solo Sikoa. Like, I'm not even saying it's a one-star match.
And they raised the people up, didn't they? That's my point.
In some cases, and then in others they didn't because they were talentless, like Solo Sikoa. Like, Solo Sikoa is the problem here, very clearly.
I'm not saying he's not great now. I'm not saying, but I don't think it could just be all through on him.
If Steve Austin was putting a main event pay-per-view match with Midi in it, it'd be about this good.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think, even though, I know Cody's over and such, but...
If Cody was in there with Sid Vicious,
I don't know about that.
I'm
sure if Steve Austin was in there with whoever, that would have been... He would have brought Midian up more, because we're talking about Steve Austin here.
Would he?
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, he would have. 100%.
What would you rate this match?
I'm not saying this was amazing, but I don't think it's as
awful. You're not saying it's bad either, are you? So...
No, I'm not saying it's shocking, no. I'm just saying it like you said. Well, you said it's basic, so it's basic bad.
It was.
Is that bad? It's
basic
bad.
Is basic. For the main event of SummerSlam,
But it's not bad, though, is it? Basic's not bad. This is my point. I think people
are just
No, I'm not saying it was great.
It's the main event of SummerSlam, mate.
It's the main event of SummerSlam, but we've just both agreed as well. Whether it's by design, whether they're just throwing it in your face, come on, Ben, we've all been around the block. We know it's going to be 15, 20 minutes. So I don't think in this scenario, you can throw that on Solo as well. When we're all waiting for it, number one. No, we can't, because we're all waiting for it. And to make it entertaining, you've got your biggest baby face, apparently, of the last 20 years, that's actually getting cheered. Could actually raise him up a little bit, do you know what I mean, to keep it going for 20 minutes. I just think it's unfair and easy to just throw it at Solo, even though he wasn't amazing. No, of course he wasn't. It's just a bit unfair to just throw it all at him. That's all.
To throw it on the weak element of the match who should have never been in the match in a million years. Like you.
Yeah, so that's up to Cody then, isn't it? So if you're saying all this about,
we're gonna have this conversation when Roman Reigns has a match as bad as the Jey Uso match.
Of course. And I was honest about that match, weren't I? That was terrible. That was worse probably than this. Because I was so invested in that at the same time. That was more of a.
I guess Roman Reigns isn't as great as we because he couldn't carry Jey, so was it?
No, but that was a one-off though, Benno, wasn't it?
Oh, was
that
it?
was just a one-off. Yeah, with Roman.
What's your other example of this with Cody?
But that's the investment again there. But I keep saying you're too easy to throw it to Solo, but with Cody, he's just getting these free passes. Where I'm not saying obviously he hasn't been a failure. He's the face of the company. He's the biggest baby face they've got, like we've just said. He can pull anything off, and that's testament to the guy. Of course it is. But I do think he gets away with this match thing because, as we say, that's why we put AJ Styles in with him. That's why we put AJ Styles in there with him. You're Logan Paul for an attraction match.
You've nailed the problem there. The problem is that they haven't booked him against top level guys. They've booked him against upper mid card guys and outright mid card guys like Solo Sikoa. The fault here is the booking. They're getting away with it because Cody's so over. God bless, and that's absolutely true as well. But they're the ones choosing to put Solo Sikoa in this spot, and Solo Sikoa wasn't up for it, and it was clear as day he wasn't up for it. He shouldn't be in this spot, and he should never be in this spot again.
But as you say, we're going to get the Roman match better. We're going to get other main events. Maybe not closing the show then, are we, if Cody's going to be on there with the championship, but we're going to get big matches with him in. And I bet you, Roman and Solo will be better.
I mean, you're going to say it was better, but it's not going to be good.
Like the Jey show. I was honest with that one, wasn't I? I was honest with that. If it's terrible, I'll tell you if it's terrible. Of course I will.
The story remains over, and we're going to get into all of those elements are there, and it remains the hot thing. But I think it was proven true here in this match that Solo Sikoa was the wrong actor for the role. For anything, I would have just fucking found a way to retcon Jacob Fatu in there and bin him off. I would have just changed their roles without even saying it, and Jacob just walks out and has the match, and we never explain it. I think that would be better than the moment.
Oh no, as I say, I'm not obviously oblivious to it. I can see. It's the take of the way of the wrestling fucking what we do. Ben, I see it on all the.
Cody doesn't think Solo's good either.
No, well, we found that out, didn't we? But it's like I just think this is where if I understand what I'm saying here. Like we know, obviously, everything that goes on the show, though, Ben, on the TV. Like I say to you, he's been presented, and so you're saying he shouldn't be even presented. And even though he is playing that pretender, isn't he? That's kind of the gimmick as well.
Lucky for him, that's the role, isn't it?
That's
the
what I mean.
Role is your shit, mate.
He's basically playing that
role of a lifetime for him, isn't it?
That's pushed himself to the top of the thing, innit? So it's
outside his very specific set of circumstances. He's going to be nowhere near the main event for the rest of his career. Maybe that'll be our next bet after the Roman match.
I'm not saying he's going to be a consistent main event, and I'm not.
Because he's not good enough. That's fine.
I've never said.
But
that.
Anyway,
go on.
Match. And we get to, which is the talking point of this show, the angle, and the story, and the stuff that's arguably Matthew. I think in your words more important than the bell-to-bell ring.
Well, it is. Flat right is.
Why are you arguing with belts then?
No, because I'm arguing with. I'm arguing with the fact of like I just think, and I'll say it, and if it comes across like I'm fucking the biggest Solo Sikoa defender in the world, then so be it. I just don't think all the blame. It's easy to just throw it on him. Yeah, I'm saying he's not. Yeah, but Cody needs a bit of blame. As you say, the bloodline rule stuff needs a bit of that blame as well. It can't just all be thrown on him. Is my ultimate point. That's all.
Okay, I'll let that lie there stinking like it deserves. His gimmick is shit, so it's okay. You shit, Simon says. I think that's what we learned. Let's get to the kickoff here. We do get our bloodline rules eventually, as I've never been so fucking glad to see Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa appear out of nowhere. Tonga Loa, who, by the way, I'm sure your words.
He's run out of chances now.
Oh, has he? Yeah, his chances are done now. Couldn't even do a fucking Irish whip to the corner in this.
It's got to be a bit this now. I see someone say that it's got to be a bit because he can't do anything right. Something's up. Like
maybe it's the eye patch.
No, but Benno, like you get told people are bad, But come on, this like he shouldn't be on telly.
You could have seen it with your own eyes, mate. Yeah, no,
that's
what everyone told you.
But I've seen him in tag matches where he's been good. The Briscoe matches, I genuinely have seen him actually function. He can't function. Something's happened to him when he can't function.
No, it hasn't. He was always this bad. Everyone knew it going in. But anyway, he was shite. We got a couple of great moments here as Kevin Owens is the first one to run out for the save. And like, honestly, that entrance way, that was proper like early WrestleMania stuff, wasn't it? They need to wheel the cart out here for poor Kev. It was like if it was like he was running the 400 meters, Randy Orton looked like he was running a marathon after it. He was almost like he was making a point of it. He was like, you know what? I'm not rushing. I'm just going to do the world's slowest
the
job.
fans and everything, really, on the way down.
How long did it take Orton to get out there? I was fucking pissing myself at that.
But you know what, though? Kevin Owens was full pelt, and he still seemed slower than Orton. I thought, though, that's the thing. Orton at least was jogging, so he looked like he had some sort of rhythm. Kevin Owens was actually like them little feet, like the Flintstones, running down to the fucking ring. Hilarious. But yeah, that's it for the fucking running job, innit? Too far of a ramp, Benno.
Well, as we build it up, they run off Tangaloa and Tamatonga. We then get our boy Jacob coming out. And again, the staging's a bit weird. Why were Orton and Owens just waiting? Why didn't they just come out together? Like, okay, whatever, story. Moments. Jacob Fatu then comes out. And yeah, obviously the big moment with Jacob Fatu, and I don't think we have an update for him yet, as he does the big... And we said it, didn't we, on Weekend Show? It was definitely coming. He was going to be doing the big splash through the table. But I do think it's a lesson. You can't... As cool as it's been to see, you can't do that every week. It's like, this was the risk they were taking of him do it every week. It's something you bust out for, even if he did it once a month or once every couple of weeks, like they maybe have taken the piss a little bit with having him do these spots. So, yeah, well, hopefully, because he came up limping, didn't he? And who knows, he was limping back.
I've seen a picture with
got a leg in a boot,
Instagram. Yeah. So I don't know any doctors in the chat. Like that'll
be
precaution, obviously.
For this story, like
Benno,
Tonga's gonna have to step in for him.
Like,
what are we doing?
If it's a month or two, fine. You can have them on, even on videos or whatever. If it's a 6-month job, it's Ben. I'm gutted if it's 6 months. Like, devastated.
It's been so great as well. And I know part of it is that he's doing this wacky, dangerous stuff, but again, this is always the risk, isn't it? Like, I'm just hopeful that it's not like,
an impact injury, not a break or a fucking tear, like just an impact where it was so like, because he got it right on the corner of the table.
Compared to some of these cunts, great fucking instincts are Jacob, as he called an audible, didn't he? And just kind of was like, finish him to Solo, making it clear that he wasn't going to be able to do whatever the next spot was. I wonder if the next spot was one of the Usos coming out or something like that, because it did kind of seem to mess up the flow of what they were doing. They try and recover it, don't they? And we go to a big double down, which is clearly not what they were planning for. I think, Jacob was probably going to be last man standing in the ring, wasn't he? To lead us to. And Matty, I'll let you take us away unless you've got any notes on that. The big moment of the match.
Oh, mate, Benno, like it's been 4 months in the making, mate. I said a couple of weeks ago.
30 minutes in the making, mate. Been building
a few withdrawal symptoms had kicked in, and when we said on the weekend show, you were kind of a bit like, I don't think it happened just off the pro, and I was kind of agreeing with you. Yeah, I was kind of agreeing with you, but I was like, no, he showed his face on screen. I've got that glimmer of hope, and mate, even with that new music, like I was
just quickly shite.
Not as good. Maybe it's another layer to the story, though. Ben, I'm assuming down the line,
it's not going to be as good as one of the great wrestling things of all time.
No, it's not going to be nowhere near it. But when I seen the graphic, though, Ben, 4 or 5 in the morning, mate, I was just so fucking happy just to see him back coming down the ramp. New t-shirt, of course, the original Tribal Chief OTC on the t-shirt, and him coming down and just as soon as he come out, mate, the fans are unglued. Superman punch. Place is going ballistic. Spear. Place is going ballistic. Cody sitting there. And just that look he give Cody, Benno. Just that look alone is just 4 months worth of fucking story down the line, mate. Have we got a new Mega Powers or Ultimate Maniacs? What are we doing here? We could go so many ways with this. It's just... And the little nod as well on the outside. And hopefully, and we know Roman's schedule, hopefully he sticks around a bit longer now, maybe all the way until Mania, not counting me chickens there, but at least be on SmackDown. He's got to be on SmackDown, hasn't he? So just happy he's back, Benno, and who knows where to
with tears shed. That's my question to you, Matty. What was
I had to hold them back. I had company. I genuinely did have to hold them back, Benno. I was just honest. You don't get it. People know, don't they? It's not a bit. It's not a part. Like this wrestler, this guy. Like honestly, he's the best, and he should be there all the time. I know, stick up for the schedule and stuff like that, but it's just not to be, is it, these days? But just glad he's back now, and hopefully we can get more of this, Benno, and leading up to WrestleMania. Like, we've got The Rock to come back, we've got Cody, we've got Solo, the War Games. Mate, that's what you want, long-term planning. We're there for the next 6 to 8 months, mate. Come on. Are you strapped in?
I mean, I want to see it, and I want to see, Jacob part of it, because Elliot points out there that, Fightful Select saying he was planned to sell his leg, apparently. That's a bit hopeful, but it's unclear whether it was...
He's the best seller of all time, if that's a word.
Well, I heard...
We've all been duped.
that he was around the media section, like limping and being carried around as the media people went into their bit. So, yeah, they're going above and beyond to sell that if it's true. But I can't buy that was the planned segment, because it was so weird. He was lying on the floor. Then they had to do, like, it would have made more sense. Roman was clearly designed to come in for a save, and instead he came out after Cody had the last move. It didn't really make any sense, and they would have overcomplicated it. Him coming in and immediately hitting Solo with the Superman punch and the spear. There's no way that was the first thing he was going to do. There was clearly going to be more layers and levels to it. So it was a great plan B. They clearly thought on the feet, I think, to get there, but I can't believe it would have been a plan A.
But that's what I mean. The way you've protected Fatu, even with Roman coming back, you could accept him spearing Fatu, couldn't you? It's not like making him look shit, is it? But I'm just thinking in their heads, do you not even want that stare down at someone? Do you want that down the line? I'm getting work now, because I know he's injured, and I'm just thinking of the worst. It's a 6-month job. I've got that in my head. So anything less than that, I'll be fucking happy as anything. But if it is, I mean, it's a great way of protecting everything. That visual, him not being able to help him. But I do. The double down was all right though, Ben, because it's who was he gonna, you know what I mean? I know Solo's been calling him out and he's robbed his position, but it's still Cody who ended his reign. So you could have. It's a logical way.
The commentary were trying to sell that, but I wasn't buying what they were selling. Like,
and I'm not having McAfee's that good that he had the whole spiel fucking lined out for him. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, and Connor says he liked that he just went straight for him. I can see that argument, but
I mean, Bobby Eaton ruining the shit anyway. Whose side is he on?
We've had our little civil war over the match, and I'm right and you're wrong. But I'm not going to argue with you there. It was considering the circumstances, very well done and so over. Like, Roman coming out was gigantic. What a moment that was for people who were invested in that story, yourself included. Came unglued in the place. He looked a little bit rough, Roman. He looked a little bit like, maybe that's part of what they're going for.
That's what it is, isn't it?
He's been stressed about this bloodline stuff. Exactly. Wasn't looking like his usual $1 million self. I always think he could have. Again, I was like, the other thing with the music, I was waiting for it to kick in and then him to walk out. It was a bit anticlimactic and just wandering out. It was like, oh, but then it never kicked in, so it's the song, isn't it?
I think for the audience, maybe, but I think it added with on the telly when we were watching it, the fact he did just come out, I think it gave it that like bit more organic as well, Ben. I just like the way he come out, and you're saying he's not his $1 million self. He was still £999,999.
Look, I'm not going to argue with it on Roman being a cracking looking bloke. I'm with you on that. And yeah, he took out Solo, and to be honest, again, we don't know how much of it was called an audible, but I'd take it if that was Solo being written off from the story, and we don't actually do the match, and we just go straight to Cody Roman 3. Fucking hell yeah, sign me up for that, because that'd be way better. I don't think we are. I think we are, unfortunately, have to live through that match. But he did. Him immediately taking Solo out said something to me. It said Solo is a pretender, and he isn't really in this spot, and it isn't going to be, maybe he's not going to be as protected as we thought he might be going into the match itself. Obviously, Paul Heyman still to come back as well. And I'd wondered that, like, how they were going to get. Part of the reason I didn't think this was happening on this night was thought they might inch it. Firstly, Jimmy turns up, or Jay turns up.
Yeah, I thought Jimmy.
Up,
yeah.
Then Heyman turns up, then Roman does. Seems to go in the other direction. Roman turns up first, and then he's got to work backwards to recruit everybody and put the pieces in place. And I hadn't even thought about the idea of, we were trying to work it out, weren't we? Well, if the bloodline end up with Tola Tonga on their side, and let's say Jacob Fatu, by some miracle, is fifth for Survivor Series, who's the fifth man on the babyface bloodline side? It's Cody, innit? Like, clearly, that seems to be what the seed they're laying here. I'm expecting that now. I'm expecting that to be like the last bit of the puzzle. Whether you buy that with all, the stuff the bloodline put Cody through, well, the shit the Bloodline put each other through. And Jimmy turned 12 times and Jay turned 12 times, and they all just forgive each other in the end anyway, because wrestling, because story. They're gonna find a way to get
say it all the time. How many many listeners have fell out with a brother and sister, and then seen them at parties, hugged and kissed and made up.
I remember when I took my brother out with a steel chair and spent 10 minutes beating him down at the end of the Royal Rumble. Yeah, that's what we do. But like they've got fucking years worth of stuff here now.
Yeah.
Like I was even shocked. Like, it doesn't shock me, I suppose, that Jimmy and Jay and Paul Heyman aren't there, because I joked on the Discord, that's another 3 months of storytelling, another 3 months of pay-per-views. That's to get there. Are they going to get to that point before the War Games is going to be Triple H putting things on fast forward? But I hope Jacob is in place, because I don't want to see Tangaloa have to take the tag belt. I don't want to see Tall Tonga have to be a 4-on-4 and they drop Cody from the match and it's not him instead. Like, yeah, it is. I don't think I'm as much of a hater as you might peg me, and as much as there are people out there who are of some of WWE's modern stylings. But I'm into this idea. I think it will be big business. I think it will be a big moment when it all comes together, and it will be a gigantic match. Might even fucking be there, Matthew. Based on
that's just not right. That just does not right.
A live video for you from it, mate. I'll
Please
record
do.
myself as Roman makes his entrance for you. It's big business. It is, and it's a story that people are invested in paying off. Like, you can't, even if you're the biggest hater in the world, you can't pretend that's not the case.
But this is the thing as well, Ben. You like people, you laugh at the mega powers and stuff, but you could do that. I don't know how they're going to go down. Because I'm just thinking, what is Cody going to do now? I was racking my brains.
Asking that at the presser, because that's a real question. Like,
it really is, though.
You've been the quarterback. There's another quarterback now. I think Cody gets shifted off the Raw. I can't see Bloodline drama happening on Raw for some reason. It just feels so SmackDown. It won't be great optically for Cody to be switched over, but some kind of feud or some reason why he ends up.
Orton's the only one in it. Orton's got to turn, and that's got to come soon. Then if we do that, it's got to happen.
Yeah, to distract him and go. I'm surprised that didn't happen. Actually, that's an element of a layer of story I thought would happen before this. But yeah, I think the answer is they're on. You've got it ready made. One of them's on SmackDown, one of them's on Raw, and then you can build up to the rematch whenever it takes place at like WrestleMania, or whether it's babyface versus babyface. That's the actual big match. It's not Roman versus Solo, and to an extent it's the War Games match, but getting back around to that, yeah. But it's going to be pressure's going to be on Cody to kind of carry his side, and the pressure's going to be on Roman to actually be a babyface people like skipped over it, but shouldn't be undersold that like this is Roman Reigns getting a babyface reaction like this, and it's probably going to stick now, because it took long enough for Roman Reigns to do these at least equal 1A babyface with 1A 1B babyface with Cody Rhodes, and no sign of a rebellion in sight. Don't think that's come on with this fan base.
Definitely not, Ben. But you're forgetting about one man here, mate. You haven't mentioned his name, and he's the pulling the strings behind all this. The final boss, Benno. When's he coming back? Because he's going to be. I
would have enjoyed that if you came back instead of Roman. That was weird.
But the thing is, he's not going to be happy in storyline that he's helped Cody win, because Rock's got his beef with Cody, hasn't he? From the night after WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's true. Cody Rock's probably the match for WrestleMania.
This is what I'm saying. So I don't know.
We're waiting that long for Roman versus Solo. Fuck off.
No, that'll happen this year. Jacob and Roman at WrestleMania if he's fit, but I think Solo. That's what I'm saying. You could have done if everyone's fit. You could have done Roman and Cody versus Fatu and Solo at like Berlin or Bad Blood in a tag match, and then you could go with the War Games Survivor Series. Do you know what I mean? There's a Saudi show as well. Maybe Roman Solo Saudi, Benno. That actually screams a Saudi show, that doesn't it? So and then we get The Rock coming back at the end of Survivor Series, influencing the War Games finish, which leads into the Rumble and WrestleMania. So I said to Steph today,
what year's WrestleMania? that sounds like you learn like 5 years worth of stuff there.
Because if it's Cody and Rock, when the fuck does Roman and Rock happen? That's the year after them, isn't it? So it's like fucking hell. It's just
the Rumble, Dylan says.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you mightn't like some of the matches, but as you say there, Ben, you can't deny the fact that it will be big business. The fans will be into it. And it is, you've got so many matches that can come out of it, and that's only good, isn't it? In a way that, like, you can pivot if you want to, because you've got that cast of characters and a lot of matches you can go for. And you can always plug Cody in, can't you? Of course you can, and Sami Zayn and the like. So
Punk.
There's a lot to it. Punk can all, yeah, exactly. There's a lot you can do. And with Orton turning heel, Kevin Owens is still in there with Sami, and will he hate Orton? Ben, come on, there's a lot though. It's great though. It's good.
I love that from Flash. This is the great irony. Matty finally goes to WrestleMania and the Roman match he gets.
I'd love that. I'd absolutely fucking love that. That needs to happen, lad.
You might realise it's crap in that moment, mate. It might all come round to you. Oh, like Ollie Court at Wrestle Kingdom. That's one for the sickos. Well, there you go. That was your big moment. I'm happy for you. Despite our disagreement on the
I am happy though, Ben. I'm really happy, to be honest, to be fair with you.
Overall thoughts on the show. So yeah, home run for you as far as a pay-per-view goes.
Like it is, it's what like I'm predicting on the weekend show on the Pick'ems. It's everything that I want out of a big event, Benno. You know, title changes, turns, stories, big returns, everything. That's what you want from. That's what I want. I'm not tarring everyone with the same brush, but that's what I want from a big time.
It's clearly what a gigantic audience wants, isn't it? Like that's what gets lost in the conversation.
That's it. Like I know everyone. Like we can have our back and forths, and we can come across passionate and sticking up for what we like, and in a way, yeah, we should, because we like it. But I know it's not for everyone, and everyone's got different tastes and different fucking opinions, and that's what I always say, Ben. That's what it's all about, and that's why it's the beauty of wrestling and the beauty of the business, I like to say. So I'm all for it, mate. But just got to put my feelings across. Unless Dave, yeah, because he's a condescending one, isn't he? But anyway,
right, isn't he? I mean, I would say, like, and Michael kind of pulled me up on this, as I said earlier, like, this is WWE's formula for success. It is. It's definitely not lost on me. Like I really, really glow on Drew Punk. More fool me for expecting anything better, probably.
And to be fair, sorry to jump in, but to be fair, that is, I know overall you'd say that, but that is your Punk fandom as well. You do want to see him in them more, and what the story's been told as well.
Good matches, yeah.
Yeah, but you've got that thing, haven't you, with him as well?
Imagine that. Imagine wanting that. But I mean, with that joke aside, like I understand WWE's a different product, and WWE is super serving what their fans want. And what do they want? They want big developments, big angles, big moments, payoffs to.
Are you on mute there, Benno?
Oh, sorry, I hit my mute button with my finger. That was me getting passionate. But you know, it's to repeat the point. WWE fans are into these characters, are into these stories, into the bloodline, into the Judgement Day, into Dominic Mysterio and what's going to happen next with that, all of these things, and it's a simple formula. But it's clearly paying off, isn't it? Because they're doing incredible business for these big pay-per-views. People are actually enjoying Monday Night Raw again, even if it's not to my particular taste. People are invested in the goings on of SmackDown, when even, for me, 80% of that show, nothing happens on. I suppose they had a tag title change this week, but, it takes Bloodline or Cody to get in the ring for anything to fucking happen on that show. But it's clearly a formula that's working, clearly a formula that's got people who this appeals to passionate about it again. And it does leave the miserly ones like me in the corner going, yeah, but the matches were crap, weren't they? And that can be true too, and hopefully the answer to that question is on the other channel. You could learn things about investment and, things mattering and payoffs mattering and developments being important, as opposed to sometimes, not always, because they do tell a lot of stories over there too, colder matches being thrown out. There's lessons to be learned, I think, from it all.
It is, and that's it, Ben. Like it is. It's. I think that, like we were saying, and like we have been saying for a long time, we don't want that like tribalism type thing. But I think more than ever, Ben, it's no. But trying to be a nice guy here. It's like it's like no. Listen. No, I am. I'm being honest. That, as I say, like I always say, we all like what we like, and we are gonna, even by default, or even if it comes across like we're not meaning to, we're always gonna autopilot stick up for what we like. Of course we are, and that's what it's about. You're invested.
I mean, you are.
Yeah, no, but it's different levels of investment as well. There's a lot there, but that's the only. Not having a go at you, of course. Well, but it's like it's sometimes that, like, as well, when people say, like, and I think a few people have said it in the chat to back me up. So thanks, guys, for that. Sometimes I mightn't come across the most articulate and stuff, but it's like people use these words, Ben, like, oh, but that fan base likes it. You don't really say it about AEW. It's like it's always a bit of a look down on WWE fans. And that's what I just don't... That's why I do get passionate, because just because you might like great in-ring wrestling matches doesn't make you a big artsy-farty, oh, I love professional wrestling. It's whatever you want it to be. Do you know what I mean? That's where I always stick my oar in, and that's if I come across too passionate. That's kind of what it is. I just don't like that slight look down. Do you know what I mean? I just not with it at all for that, mate. So... hopefully that come across okay. And I've seen a lot of that. It's like that fan base likes it. Well, yeah, of course it does, because we watch it every week. We're invested. Well, of course we're gonna like it. Do you know what I mean? And if it's shit at the same time, or if it's not that good, like there's characters on there, it's like, well, not for me. Do you know what I mean? Just be honest.
I think you're the first to point out UAW fans like certain things sometimes, to be honest.
Am I?
Push back on you there. Yes.
But as I said, that maybe comes across with the autopilotness, you know what I mean? And
but where I think I speak your language a little bit is that, yeah, like, to me, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with if you've been watching wrestling for 20 years. You know, if you're fucking... If you're 25, you've been watching wrestling for 17 years. Wrestling to you is a television show. And it's always been a television show. And even people our age, to be honest, it's always been a television show. And there are things you like about that television show that might be the matches, but they can be the promos, the presentation, the entrances, the moments, all of those other things that the WWE clearly leans into more. That's part of... Take away what the actual word wrestling means in the dictionary, which is the point everyone will make. And,
always, yeah.
You know, I can understand that.
Yep.
But as a genre of whatever you want to call this entertainment, that part of it is important to, you know, to a lot of people who've grown up on it, watching it on television. That's just... Yeah, that's okay, I think. Even if we do disagree sometimes. That's how much you're getting out of it.
Yeah, of course. And we're going to disagree. That's why we're here.
But I'm empathetic to it a little bit.
Yeah,
I just wish the matches were good, mate, and then we'd all win, wouldn't we? But apparently that's not possible. So there we go. And again, the moments could have been booked a bit better. But anyway, repeating myself now. And else on SummerSlam before we move into some other notes on the post-show presser. Presser was as entertaining as ever. No real good questions, to be honest, outside of half a question about Stephanie McMahon from Sean Ross Sapp, and rest of it, nobody asked about, Shane McMahon, nobody asked about the lawsuit, and yeah, a few, unfortunately, I will say, Steph had a hand up. I know Brandon Thurston had his hand up. John Pollock, which is a fucking disgrace, was given press access, but not presser access. And when you look at the list of some of the people who asked some of those questions, how do they get access and he doesn't? Like, he's a better man than me for not rising to it, but utter disgrace that somebody of his journalistic integrity would travel that far and that would happen. I wish we'd have gotten some more questions from those types of credible people, because it was a lot of kayfabe stuff. It was weirdly handled. They were going to like the booth where the pre-show panel was, and then they were going to the commentator.
Seen bits of that, yeah.
It was so weird. And then the questions we did get was just fluff on it. I understand the argument that, different different media people and personalities,
content creators,
different types of content, absolutely. But there's a lot of those questions that I just don't know how that's good for your content, to ask, LA Knight the same question 3 times, or to ask a kayfabe.
Even he got bored with that, didn't he? Like, even he was getting bored with getting asked like that you've overcome after years.
Well, if you're too shit scared to ask him what he thinks about Logan Paul and his social media stuff for last week or so, or Rob Feinstein or something like that, just ask him something like, Logan Paul's had 12 matches, what do you think of him? And get him to non-kayfabe tell you his actual thoughts on a wrestler that young into the business, and whatever. Ask a real question at least. Why waste your time just to hear your own voice? I think that's what happens a lot of these things, and it's not getting any better. It's getting worse, these things. But I don't think there was much news to come out of it either for that reason. But outside that, not much more of an update on Jacob Fatu. We talked Stephanie McMahon. A couple of wrestling news stories we can probably talk about before we get out of here, Matty, and something our Discord have asked us to chat as well, as we didn't get it. It came out typical. We did a spotlight, and then the Shane McMahon story bloke had to spotlight. And if you haven't heard it, weekend show's available for free on our YouTube. It's on our Spotify. We put that show together in a way as well that the SummerSlam previews at the very end, so you can still listen to the first hour, and it's all still in date. So still worth a listen. We talked about the Shane McMahon thing over there, and then the morning after weekend show, it breaks this story about MJF and Britt Baker at AEW, and I don't know how strong my takes are on this one, Matty, because it does feel like I made the Simpsons joke. It's very, I saw Mrs. Krabappel and Principal Skinner making out in the closet, and they made a baby, and then one of the babies looked at me, or whatever the quote is. Like, there's many versions of this story going around that I always think, like, I want to create a bot that takes these stories that are written, from whatever point of view is the source, and I believe the source is saying whatever they're saying to Dave Meltzer, or whatever they're saying to Sean Ross Sapp, but they're written in such a way where I'm like, I wish we could, like, I could do a bot that like replaces all the names with just people from my office. You know, Donna said this about Jan, who said this about Pam. Some of those names are real, some of them aren't. And like, you know, and Pam knocked on the door, and then she came in, and then Vivian punched a hole in the wall. It's just so like, well, you'd hear that story in work and go, okay. But I'd like to hear Vivian's side of the story, because I bet you it's completely different to what we're getting. And people forget that sometimes, that it's literally, this is news because, of course it is, because Britt Baker got suspended out of whatever happened. But it's also like, just put yourself in those terms. I know we wouldn't have, you know, in your work life, you hopefully wouldn't have somebody punching a hole in a wall. You hopefully wouldn't have somebody knocking a door or somewhere down. But at the end of the day, it's an argument that happened in the workplace, and it's going to be clear as mud when you try and like work through the sources here. And it's almost, outside of the obvious newsworthy element, it's almost wild that these things become news, but they do. And what was your take as this developed? Because I still don't think we have the full picture on it. It sounds like say Britt Baker is suspended. There's some talk about the fact that, you know, she paid a gigantic fine. Did she pay that fine? Did somebody pay for her? There's a lot of talk about Alicia Toots, you know, involvement in this, and whether, you know, it's the fact that Britt Baker talking down MJF and Ospreay getting the hour of Dynamite. That's one version of the story, which apparently bumped the women's match. Then Alicia Toots, according to one of the sides, ran to MJF to tell him, and then MJF kicked off with Britt Baker, which apparently didn't happen in the women's locker room. He did get invited there, but the actual punching of the wall was elsewhere. A lot of he said, she said here, Matty, but any takes on that, and it doesn't make anybody look good, really, is probably what we're learning here.
It's the old, what is it, telephone, telegram, tele-wrestler, Benno, as you say. You don't know what to believe, but as you say, someone's been suspended. But that's just the case of, well, what's she been suspended for? What did she say that bad? It's not been reported she's attacked him or she's attacked Alicia the Toot, is it? What she said that bad that she's been suspended? Do you know what I mean? Or as someone from management confronted her as another? I don't know. You just don't know what to believe, do you? But really, though, Ben, what could she have said or done to get suspended? Where MJF apparently, you know, what you read and hear, punched a hole in the wall. What's that? Why isn't he getting like a bit of discipline? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit. It just seems a bit odd to me. That's what I got by it. That Brit's being like, into
that it's because he's got Tony Khan's ear to the extent he does.
You thought Brit did, though, didn't you? You thought Brit was always well in with Tony Khan, one of the AEW originals in their own right, like, and done a great job especially at the start of like carrying the women's division. So, but yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to say that, like, I don't know, it just seems a bit mismanaged again. Is that the right word? Like, as I say, we don't know what's true, so we are just speculating.
The difficulty, isn't it? It does feel like sloppy shop stuff, doesn't it? Whichever version of the story is true, I think it kind of does. Like I say, that's kind of my main take on it. Nobody looks good here. Even just down the fact that, like, you know, Alicia the Toot, talented at her job or not, there's a pattern in AEW of people being employed because they're backstage a lot, because they're either going out with somebody or whatever other reason, you know, that they're there with somebody a lot. Unfortunately, more than likely happens with the women that Tony Khan hires for jobs like this, but that, you know, causes issues as well. And you know, MJF having this unchecked power is probably an element in this. You know, punching a hole in a wall, like you say, that's an act for suspension. That sounds serious enough for further action that happened just on face value. So it does open itself up to the idea of, well, why is Britt being, you know, punished so heavily and he's not? But then this is why you'd want transparency. This is why you'd want, you know, next time Tony Khan's in front of the media, someone to ask about it. And unfortunately, you're not going to get a transparent Tony Khan. People might ask, which is probably a positive compared to that WWE presser, but you're probably not going to get a full story, are you? You're probably just going to get, I can't talk about that.
You'll get Britt to sign something that she can't tell the truth as well, so we'll never know. So that's why you're only going. That leaves you open to this type of interpretation, doesn't it? And people going, that's because it might turn out, well, the reason Britt Baker's suspended is because this isn't a first incident. Because it might not be based on rumours that you hear, but it also might not be MJF. So, you know, there's that. But at the same time, Ben, and I'm not just sticking up for Britt, of course, you know, but like, so what if MJF and Ospreay did get an hour and she was a bit like, well, what about us kind of thing? That shows a bit of passion on her behalf. Okay, she might have overstepped the line with what she said, because she must have, as I keep saying, she must have said something really bad to get suspended. But if she's showing a bit of passion and a bit of desire that she wants to be on the show, what's wrong with that? It's not just sitting in the corner accepting it. I'm all for that. You know what I mean? I want a bit of TV time. I've been here since day one. I've done my thing. I've just come back from like nearly fucking dying. and having a stroke. Fair play to her. That's what I think. Fair play. Obviously,
and there's a story there, isn't there? Remember how close she was with Tony Khan, like to the point where that was unprofessional. Like you're there, like the best, like the Tony Schiavone thing, similar thing. Like you know, he socializes with Adam Cole and Britt Baker. You'd hear, and who knows what that. I'd love, you know, we don't know. I don't want to speculate on people's relationships, but obviously people have been reading into whatever's happened with Britt Baker and Adam Cole. But then there's that element of it with the MJF and Adam Cole story that got paid off with a big nothing. And you know,
could tie in.
Whether there's another element to that, another layer to that, I'd love to know. So it's funny. I started this off by going, imagine this type of gossip from your office got reported in the news, and I kind of want to laugh at it and snigger at it and make the joke about like the stories that come out, but it's also kind of entertaining, isn't it? When you're in opposition,
of course,
you do kind of go, oh, well, you do rub a neck, don't you?
But Ben, it does play in, like you've said, MJF. I think, and I never want to just come across like I'm putting the boot to Khan, because it must be hard of what he does, of course. But
it's shame you don't want to, mate. You just do.
But it's just Benno. Everyone's got too much power, mate. Like he's got to draw that fucking fist down at some point. It's beyond
maybe
a joke.
Suspending Brit is that fist, though, like you say.
But MJ, once again, but even if we're going off what we did written down, MJF done something worse. Do you know what I mean? You know, all right. She
might have did something worse this weekend.
Yeah, of course. You know, of course. But they should be. They should just be more like, he should set a precedent. And I think MJF, quietly on the sly, like you said before, though, has got Tony Khan's ear, hasn't he? He can do what he wants on TV. You know what I mean? And he's crushed a few wrestlers, dare I say, back to Wardlow as well. I'll always fly Wardlow's flag. He just got fucking crushed because of MJF. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Look, if it resulted in MJF being suspended and not being on Dynamite for a while, to be honest, let's just, you know, we'll forget about this whole Trump angle he's doing in Mexico, and we'll just go straight to the
awful gimmick, innit?
I saw, like I say, I'm not even going to review Collision, but I saw bits and pieces of Collision while I was waiting for the pay-per-view, and yeah, they had him cut a promo from backstage at Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, and that was what it was. He's very much leaning into that Trumpism type heel thing, and loving doing that in Mexico, but we'll see if that improves. But yeah, that's kind of all we really know on the story. But yeah, anything else, AEW or otherwise, to talk about, Matt? Any other news going on around the world before we get out of it?
I seen a bit of some stuff on Collision where Christian, didn't he give the trios belt to Nick Wayne and Mother Wayne, and he's still playing that long game. The long game, that's a WWE type storyline they've been doing with Kill Switch and Christian, Benno. That's been teased for a while, where he's going to finally fucking turn on him. Didn't give him a belt, did he? So I like that little wrinkle.
Every now and then you remember that's a story, don't you? And then sometimes they just forget. There is that.
Yep. And Hologram had another match, didn't he? Apparently that was that all right, was it? So I didn't know that was Aramis, was it? I didn't know that was him. So I'll have to, or Aramis, that's how you pronounce it. So I'll have to keep in with Collision, Benno. Actually, the nice he's filming and what's going on. It looks better in that arena. It looks really.
Start to put like the background flags up and stuff like that.
I like the big screen though. It comes across. No, it does. It looks well there.
There we go. Well, we'll have more on AEW on the next Spotlight, the next weekend show. But yeah, outside that, I think that's it for us. If you enjoyed this Sunday Special Spotlight, whoever you agree with, whether it's me or Matty, let us know in the comments, and we'll consider doing more like this in future. And yeah, the topsy-turvy schedule does mean that this was your Spotlight for this week. If you listen to it on Monday morning, and if you're expecting a Patreon bonus show today / YouTube member bonus show, that will become a midweek with the Grapple Lads debut episodes. We're recording it on Wednesday in the pub, Matty. Doesn't necessarily mean it's coming out Wednesday night, because I might have.
You have to edit that Thursday morning.
I was going to say that's one that will need it. Maybe not need an edit, but would need a listen back, I think, would be a good idea. So before I put that out, so expect that probably in your feeds Thursday morning, unless we're all very well behaved, and we'll decide. There's the 1L or 2L's in Grapple Lads. I've got 2 versions of the graphic. We'll have a vote, mate. We'll decide in the pub.
Can I say, Benno, though? Me and Gareth have just dropped the latest episode of Retro, which I forgot to mention at the start. Yeah, and this month we are as Gareth titled it, it's Extreme Differences this month, and we've got a match with Brett against Mankind from an early episode of Shotgun Saturday Night on location in the Webster Hall in New York City. We're traveling around New York City, and the second match is the big Terry Funk, quotation marks, retirement match from Amarillo, Texas from 1997, where Brett wrestles on an ECW produced event, Benno, with Joey Styles doing commentary. My mind was blown. This was like a holy grail match, like an old tape trader type match, and Gareth absolutely loved it. A few spoilers there, like, but Gareth absolutely adored that match. So, yeah, give that a listen if you can now. So it's available for all patrons, ready to go, and
that's it.
all good.
Patrons and YouTube members get early access on Retro. So if you're dying to hear that, you can get that by becoming a member at any level on either platform, and you'll get it. But it will be out for freebies next week. But yeah, we'll have time later in the month as well. So a bit of a 2-for-1 there, as well as all the other stuff. The ICP deep cut will be coming next weekend as well. So it'll be coming thick and fast, as well as our best on British soil mixtape too. But yeah, great. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Andy saying there, yeah, massive story will break tomorrow, obviously now. But we'll see if
guaranteed.
That happens.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Glad everyone enjoyed the casual Sunday Spotlight. But yeah, on that note, thank you to our patrons, thank you to our YouTube members, thank you to our live patrons and YouTube members who've tuned in, and thank you, of course, to our Kings of the Mountain, Conor Laughlin, Eddie Sards Burns, Chris Platt, Ewan Cameron, and Carl Gack. I think he's paid now, so I'll count him in too. We will catch you again for Grapple Lads midweek. Good night, all.
Bye.
See ya. Get your tickets. Good night.
Ta-da.